What is going on, everybody? It is episode 241 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett. I'm here with my co-host. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Hello, Crisis Actors. It's Mary. I'm really excited for today's show. It's going to be a nice casual Friday episode. We've got a fantastic docket and a special guest in studio. Introduce yourself, please.
Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Kai Clips. I was on political TikTok for a time where I was able to meet Mary, which is probably the most tumultuous, crazy place you can ever meet a person. But luckily, we've both moved on from that.
We've matured past that app.
Greener pastures. Yeah.
Political TikTok just sounds awful to me. Like, literally awful.
It was
Two words that should never be put together.
It was kind of fun for the time being.
What time was that period? When was that?
Mostly last year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like how fast life moves. You're like, we've moved on so far past that.
Well, the internet moves so fast that
Yeah.
it does feel like a long time ago.
It's like, oh man, back in the old days in 2021.
That's just one of my internet past lives. One of Kai's as well.
Isn't that weird?
I've shed that skin.
Yeah, like, isn't that kind of weird though? Like you kind of tend to do that. Like you grow through you go through phases in your life and stuff like that. So Regatan already, but check the monies. We got to make sure money's working, but we're double check here. Guys, we got a bunch of stuff to talk about today. We are going to talk about Black Panther, Wakanda. There it is. I was waiting for it. I was like, guys, the money guns were delayed at the start of the show today, which had me worried for a start. It's like, technical difficulties this early on is never a good thing. So we are going to talk about Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. We went and saw it last night. This is going to be a spoiler discussion because, frankly, I don't know how to do a movie review without at least giving away some of the details. So we are going to talk about that. We've also got some interesting stuff being published about what Black Panther Wakanda Forever means for culture and society. And frankly, I find it all just a little bit hyperbolic. So we got that. Twitch streamer Adin Ross got banned off the platform temporarily for the sheer act of him getting swatted. We're going to talk about that as well. We've got Milo Yiannopoulos or Milo Yiannopoulos. What would it be? Adjacent, a character on a TV show being portrayed on an episode of the Paramount Plus series The Good Fight. And then we've got some more interesting stuff with a rumor, a conspiracy theory, if you will, about Elliot Page. So if you guys are ready, we will just get right into it. Mary, are we ready?
Let's go.
Kai, are we ready?
I'm 100% ready.
All right, so we're going to start right off with Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. Guys, we went and saw it last night. And I'm going to ask you guys first, before we get started, in case anybody wants to just get the review out of the way early. Remember, this is going to be spoiler discussion. Did you like it, Mary?
I did not. I walked away from it with a general negative feeling in my gut. Just like my intuitive reaction. Not like I was expecting to like it, and maybe I'm being biased.
I
don't know.
For me, also, I'm going to go over here. Kai, did you like it?
Yeah. Totally changed my outlook. I am now a leftist, gay rights, BLM. That's what's up.
Forever,
Wakanda forever.
You put the
Wakanda
fist in your profile. Yeah.
The fist up.
For me, it didn't. I didn't dislike it. I liked it. I was the only one out of our group
Who's
who went
surprised?
there.
Brett likes it, he always does.
I have a friend who, oddly enough, is he's kind of a raging leftist now, and he doesn't like that I work here, and it is what it is. He's one of those guys who just loves every movie, and we used to have a joke back in the day where he's like, I want to start a movie review site where it's just all the reviews are positive no matter what. You're like, what, did you like it? Yeah, it's a movie. That's what it'd be called. It's a movie. It's a thing. I will give my pros off the bat. Now, what I do believe is that this movie is carried on the tiny, tiny shoulders of Letitia Wright. She's tiny. She's
literally small, narrow shoulders.
She's like this wide. This movie is carried on the shoulders of Letitia Wright, who plays Shuri, who was not meant to be the star of this franchise. She had to take on a very, very serious responsibility in this movie, being that she was a secondary character in the first one. And then after the tragic passing of Chadwick Boseman, she was basically given a whole crap ton of stuff that she had to accomplish. She had to evolve the storyline as it goes. And most of this movie follows her around. In fact, the scenes where it cuts away from her or from Wakanda, all the stuff with Namor. I felt like that's when the movie started to lose itself. And I think her and Angela Bassett's character both had strong moments, though I do have a bone to pick with one of the particular decisions that Angela Bassett's character made. But I do believe that the weakest element in this movie was Riri Williams and the CIA storyline.
The CIA storyline took up a lot of the screen time. I think they could have shaved off a good half hour of this movie.
At least.
If they got rid of Everett Ross and that whole subplot. I thought it was unnecessary.
And let's mention, okay, so basically what happens is this movie takes place, it picks up after just as T'Challa is passing away. You don't see him, obviously. And you see Shuri working frantically to recreate the heart-shaped herb so that she can save T'Challa, which I thought was weird because that feels like a plot hole to me because they had to recreate the heart-shaped herb for him to become the Black Panther again. At least maybe I'm misremembering that part. That felt like a plot hole to me. And then from there, you go through the grieving process with her character in the family in Wakanda, and you're introduced to Namor. I'm going to make that reference every time. Namor, as he realizes that the American government and foreign governments are coming to find vibranium in, what's the name? It's the not Atlantis town. It's called Talokan, which is just not Atlantis. They keep making a point to point out that they're like in the Atlantic Ocean. And he comes to Shuri basically and says, I need the scientist who created the vibranium detecting machine, that is Riri Williams, and I want your help because we need to take her out so that they can't use it to find us and to find our vibranium. And from there, basically, he gives her an ultimatum, and that's where the story out of this is really born, that she has to go back to Wakanda and protect them against Namor. I can't do it anymore. I can't say Namor. And that's where this movie picks up. And there's the big themes in this movie are obviously there's a lot to deal with the passing of T'Challa or Chadwick Boseman. And what Letitia Wright does really, really well is carry the sadness that I feel like she felt, and the script leans into that by getting away from humor, which is there is humor in this movie. I will say that the smart thing they did, as much as I did not like Riri Williams' character, her character and M'Baku are both kind of given the reins to do the comedic bits in this movie. There's absolutely some like weird anti-male sentiment that all the male characters are buffoons in this movie.
I didn't
it
notice
felt that way to me.
Why did you think that?
They're just portrayed as buffoons. Like
all
even
of
Ross
them are
is he's portrayed as
Namor?
Either dumb or helpless. Namor is a little bit.
But he's
different.
the antagonist, so he's kind of he doesn't count.
He had to be fleshed out.
Yes,
there's no way around it.
I will say there's some CGI issues. It feels like Marvel's CGI is getting worse as they go. Does that make sense? Like,
well, maybe they're just rushing things.
There's
more.
just too much.
I don't think that's what it is. I think they are now plotting out their movies so that so much of it relies on these extravagant kind of set pieces, none of which they're organically creating. They're just all CGing them in.
And if you see the trailer for Quantumania, it's all about those CGI environments
that almost
to
works better,
grab your attention over dialogue.
I don't know. I feel like I saw the same thing with what was the new movie that came out, kind of similar to Quantumania, that they did with Spider-Man. Very similar, where you've got like all these crazy, set pieces. They did it with Doctor Strange.
But those are not supposed to look like real-world environments, whereas the Wakanda ones are supposed to look like real-world environments.
Exactly.
And that's where the problem lies. There's definitely some issues there. The CGI takes you out of it in certain points. And also, there was one part that really, really bugged me, and somebody pointed out, I found it later, was that like when the Queen, right, when Angela Bassett basically gives Okoye permission to go with Shuri to find Riri Williams, in that, right, and then they go to find Riri Williams, they find her, and then Shuri gets taken. She puts all the blame on Okoye and doesn't take any responsibility for the fact that she
ranks her.
At the end of the day, you're in charge. You made the decision to let her go.
Yeah.
But it did feel human to me. The point is, like, it's not that it's rational. Like
she feels like she's lost more for the kingdom than Okoye has had to lose.
The grief makes it feel like I don't get mad at her because that feels like somebody like would be in that type of denial because of the grief.
You got the overpowering emotions of the woman leader. Not to say anything about stereotypes.
So true.
sometimes,
So
but
true.
you know.
But it is like a matriarchal society, so I understand why it would seem like the men are useless buffoons in comparison. But like that is the structure of their society. As far as that like aspect of loss, that's kind of why I was hoping that at the end, after Letitia Wright, Shuri has lost her mother. Spoiler, sorry guys. After she's lost her mother, she still didn't choose the path of revenge, and I just didn't find that relatable. Like, I wanted her to kill Namor, not only because it would be vengeful, but I also just think that would be just. Because he murdered her. Yeah. He murdered Ramonda.
I don't think they don't do enough to set up the subplot either. Because they're like, they have that one line where it's by the fire, and they're like, yeah, I would burn the whole world if I think too much about my brother's passing. And that's the only comment they make about her being like this revenge-driven person. Because over and over after that, you see her like, oh, I want to help out this like T'Challin like person, and I want to be this kind, scientific individual.
Yeah.
None of it is like this vengeance
She
arc
never
until
had
the
this
end.
burning hatred in her, and I thought that the death of her mother was supposed to kick that off and make it more believable that she would end Namor's life.
The better subplot with her is the idea of science versus faith, which they address a fair amount in this.
And also tradition versus technology.
Yes. So there's they get into that a lot, and I felt that the movie did a pretty good job. And like I said, this rests on Letitia Wright's shoulders to be able to deliver that performance. In fact, I think they did the best they could, because there isn't as much of her in action scenes or being physical, right? Like, we understand that with the heart-shaped herb that she doesn't adhere to the same rules that a normal human being does, but it's still off-putting to see somebody that thin beating up like a dude who's like, by the way,
that fight scene was quite something. Was the suit protecting her from that stab?
Because the spear is made pure vibranium, which is why it was able to pierce the suit.
Okay, but did that... Like, I don't understand why that didn't kill her.
It covered up the wound afterwards. You kind of see it. The suit sutures it up, which I was like, oh, okay. So at least now we know she's not like totally going to die. I thought it was interesting though. Like, you're right. It was that they had like vibranium weapons, but that's like never really fleshed out. It's like, oh, they have vibranium. That is the catalyst for the entire thing.
It does whatever the plot needs it to.
Came from meteors, so it could technically have fallen anywhere in the world.
Yep. So that's a fair not cop out, but it's like that makes a little bit of sense. Like, the Earth is 70% water or whatever, so it makes sense that some of it would end up under the water. I will say, there's a lot of like, everyone but the Wakandans are kind of portrayed as buffoons or bad or evil. I mean the American government colonizing evil people looking for vibranium the moment that T'Challa dies.
Like, how dare they look in international waters for an extremely valuable mineral?
Well, they didn't have a problem with that. They had a problem with the French lady who tried to get the French. What would they have been, like the Legionnaires trying to getting into like a Wakanda outreach facility to get at vibranium. Yeah. But when they brought those soldiers to the UN, they said, we wish you luck in your search for vibranium. Just don't look for it in Wakanda. Otherwise, we don't care.
Yeah. Right? Because they genuinely didn't believe it existed elsewhere.
And all the other people are kind of portrayed as one-dimensional. I did get a little bit annoyed when Okoye keeps calling Ross like a colonizer, even though it's played as like a joke there. There's a lot of casual racism that's just kind of like, it's there.
The oppression Olympics of the movie is actually hilarious because now you see subgroups that were formerly protected classes being thrown under the bus. So now it's not just straight white dudes. It's like, it's the white woman who's leading France in the movie is one of the antagonists.
Or Julia Louis-Dreyfus as the head of the CIA is like the most least believable.
Exactly. And you even get to the largest part of the movie, which is all of these like strong black men who are now in Hollywood have been replaced by stronger black women.
Yeah, I didn't understand that Dreyfus was Val was the head of the CIA until I was reading things about the movie afterwards, because she was just that unbelievable in that position. But I think it's because you're supposed to assume she came to that position from like nefarious corruption. Like, she snaked her way into the organization, is trying to I don't know, do some like upheaval of the government.
I feel like they did a good job portraying I'm just calling them the Atlanteans. I'm not calling them whatever the hell they call them.
Teloconians.
Teloconians as like as a superior in numbers force of people. They did a good job early on when the one character, when Okoye and the head of their Atuma battled on the bridge. And they had to, and it kind of showed his strength in the situation that he was match
the
for
bridge
match with.
Scene was cool.
Yes, that was the
but
best of it.
All the rest of the action and fight scenes I felt moved way too slowly, and I was like getting bored just watching it.
They kind of fell into the Zack Snyder camp of like extreme like ramped slow motion to show that something massive has happened, which I actually like. But in this movie, the reason I think the bridge scene works better is because it's tied to a real environment. It looks like an actual bridge. When they're fighting on the boat,
on a gigantic high-tech boat, and you have no idea how they have such technology because
in all you picture is just a big is a green screen tarp over it that they're all standing on as they're doing this, and it takes you out of it. And me and you have had this discussion dozens of times before about how there's a lack of emotional connection to scenes like that because you don't feel like you're watching something actually happen. In your brain, it's like an uncanny valley type thing where it looks like fighting, but it's not really fighting. Also, there's like, they talk about the death of Ramonda, but like, is it just generic amounts of casualties? Like, does nobody else get a funeral? Like, it's one of the problems with the MCU is like, you never actually know if anyone lives or dies, or if anyone actually dies in these attacks.
Or even if they do die, it also means nothing because they can just change the timeline on the next one. So I also felt nothing when Ramonda died. Is that my problem, or was that the movie's problem? I don't know.
I was in the same boat.
I didn't even like her character. I thought she was like mean and unreasonable.
I would have rather had her protect Okoye, who she had recently been fighting with, rather than protect Riri Williams, which, by the way, if you wanted to do a booklet on how to make a generally unlikable character, and I mean no disrespect to the actress, because this is the material she gave her. If your job is to portray what they're showing you online, she did her job extremely well. It's just that they're not doing her any favors as a character. First of all, you're introduced to her as she's hustling a dude for doing his homework. Basically, she does a dude's homework project. She like snatches
his phone and forces him to Venmo her.
Not just any guy, racist
like
white MIT guy who's not as smart as she is.
And he has to lower his voice because he doesn't. He's like, "Well, I did most of the project, even though I'm here at MIT." Like, not quite as smart as her guy at MIT. Where basically she was supposed to do this project for him, and he's supposed to give her $800, but since he didn't pay her on time, she's charging him $1,000. That's not how you introduce people to a character you want to actually like.
Right, but now that they're reframing it so that like when women do it, it's not wrong. You're supposed to applaud her for doing these dirty schemes. It's supposed to make her more of a girl boss in your eyes.
A better way to do it would have been to have the guy flat out refuse to pay her and then have her just hack the money out of his account anyways, but only take
that. But I don't think it was like she had any computer skills. It was all mechanical skills.
That just runs together. I just assume that
it's just science.
It's like
she only was shown like working on.
She developed her tech tree.
She was shown like hammering machinery, not
with her like noodle arms. Not her fault. But like, there's also a really funny scene where like Shuri rebuilds her car for her, and then she's
the car she destroyed. By the way,
but then she's like amazed that she got it done in a week. She like literally built a massive super sub in like a week, and they're like, "How did you rebuild this Dodge Charge?" I don't know what kind of car it was, but like it was amazing. But look, I get it. I liked it because first of all, I think it was the lack of humor. It was the fact that for the most part, they kept the emotional through line throughout the whole thing. Letitia Wright, who, like I said, for me, that lead actor has to do a really, really good job. Like I'm a lot less forgiving of movies if the lead can't carry the movie. It's one of the reasons I don't like ensemble cast as much. I liked Shuri and Okoye together. When they got away from Riri Williams, it was fine. I liked M'Baku did the humor better than he had any right to, given that like the stuff wasn't really that funny, but that actor Winston Duke is phenomenal. So if you are already a Marvel fan, my suggestion is go and see it. I don't know. Some people like I'll watch spoiler reviews and still go see movies. But if you are a Marvel fan, I don't think you'll have a problem with this stuff. The woke stuff is there, but there's enough emotional connection to the loss of Chadwick Boseman, and there's enough of a tonal change from standard Marvel properties that I think you'll look past it in a way that might be less annoying.
I feel like I can't let any Marvel movie win.
Yeah.
Because
So you
if
have
it's
to-
serious,
fair
then it's
enough.
taking itself too seriously in my eyes. And
Yep.
if it's joking, then it's clownish and doesn't take itself seriously enough in my eyes. So, like, I just hate it no matter what. And I'll admit that I'm biased for that reason.
Then let's get into what we were going to talk about after this, which is
Yeah.
there is a fake emotional connection to Marvel that is so over the top now.
Especially
so
this
ridiculous.
franchise in Marvel.
Yes. So this says Black Panther 2 crucial post-credit scene makes emotional Marvel fans sob in public. Now, guys, we're gonna spoil the post-credit scene if you haven't seen it already.
Put in some earplugs, but keep playing the live stream. It helps our numbers.
Basically, Shuri travels to, is it back to Haiti, right?
Yeah, back
Yes.
to Haiti.
She-
Nope.
She goes to
Haiti.
see...
Haiti.
Yes, she goes to see Nakia.
She goes to see, so she goes to see Nakia, and they find out that essentially that T'Challa has a secret son, which is, by the way, it's so soap opera.
Right.
Like, it goes into soap opera territory where they're like, and he had a kid. Then next we're gonna find out that he has an evil twin.
Yeah.
Like that's what we're gonna. That's what we're gonna. And so basically, you find out that that him and her had a son, and she's raising him here away from the temptations and pressures.
And
of
we found out that
power.
T'Challa specifically requested she not attend his funeral.
Which,
funeral.
hey, at least they addressed it. At least it could have been worse. It could have been like, what if they're like, they don't address that?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
does that really make sense? Not really.
His
but
request makes no sense.
but it's weird. But it's weirder if they don't address the
Yeah.
fact that she didn't show up at all,
Yep.
and he did want her to go.
I mean, the idea that he also wanted to keep them both away from Wakanda and the pressures of
Yeah.
the throne, I find that request also hard to believe.
so
That's
people are.
not what happened to him, right? Like, and
Yeah.
you get this line, big spoiler, but it's like, my secret name is like Prince T'Challa, like I'm the heir to
Son
the
of-
throne, or like son of King T'Challa or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, so you've got this buildup of he is going to be the next king, but you're not putting him in the environment where you're groomed for it, and that
Right.
is literally the reason. That's the argument for monarchy, is that you have people who are born and bred into the role of the monarch, into
Yeah.
being the leader of that kingdom. And how do they do that? By being around the constituency, by being in the palaces, by being trained to be a warrior. And you just don't get that with the kid. And instead, we're going to put you in like a public school in Haiti.
Yeah.
If anything, it would make him harder to follow if he became
Yeah.
king later, because he would have no connection to his.
And then there's this
constituents.
remaining cliffhanger where the throne is about to get challenged by M'Baku,
Yeah.
and wouldn't the kid benefit from?
Well, that kid's
like,
gonna have to muscle up because Winston Duke is
Of course.
beefy.
But
The kid was
even
cute, by the
still.
way. I liked that little actor. He was sweet.
Yep.
And likable.
Like the corn kid.
Yes,
Yep.
just like the corn kid. Kai pointed out, and I was like, yes, that is why I like him.
So here's some of the tweets that were said from people. This is when I tell you Black Panther made me sob in the theater, and then somebody else says light spoilers. The Black Panther credit scene absolutely wrecked me. Wow.
T'Challa knowing he will die, so he named his child after him. No. I cried so hard. I'm telling you.
Is this? I have this question. Is this a sign of just like we're in a society now where like people have so little emotional connection in the real world that they're starved for anything they feel a connection to? So even something like this is enough to make them.
This
to make
feels
them cry?
Pentecostal.
Yep.
Explain that. Explain
It
that.
feels like religious emotivism where, you know, like stand up if you've gotten saved today. And everyone has to like start pretending to speak in tongues and writhe on the floor and sob their eyes out.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're not truly allegiant to the faith.
Yeah. You don't really care
That's what
about
this
the
feels
movies.
like.
Well, even the people at the theater were like, it felt like that. Like a lot of people were laughing at stuff that was like
The
like,
forced laughter at every unfunny joke made me so like it made me seethe in my seat just hearing them like do this drawn out response to a joke that legitimately wasn't that funny.
There's a scene where Riri Williams is like to be young, black, and gifted, and
Yeah.
and, it's
And
like-
people were like,
It's like, oh, so true. So
Queen.
true, Queen. So true.
in general, I feel like this speaks to kind of the degradation of our connection to real world humans.
Yep.
Like you're so starved for
deaf.
or it could also speak to the lack of exposure to like real emotionally connected movies.
Yeah.
Like they haven't this is a different class of film goer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe these are the people that do need to go see the Steven Spielberg movies that
The Fablemans.
all the movies that we're going to make fun of because they're so full of themselves that they're still kind of annoying. But
Yeah.
maybe you do need like a wider range of films in your life so that you can understand that this is not the height of emotional connection.
Yeah, well, it's instead of like having actual relationships now where you see somebody over a course of time or a period of time, you've got, I have known this person through like each subsequent movie
That's how they
installment.
feel. Yeah,
That is how
right.
they feel. It's this relationship
feel
that's
like I've
built up
grown
over
up with
paying
this-
$10 every other year.
Oh, that's a creepy
It's like a subscription service
to a friendship, to an emotional connection.
So it's it's Marvel OnlyFans. You're
Ew.
paying
Yep.
you're paying every month so that you can feel emotionally
Feel
connected
human emotions.
to. And look, the audience is agreeing. What we've got right now is we've got a 94% audience score and an 85% critic score. One thing that I've noticed is as much as critics and audiences fight back and forth about who agrees with what in movies and television, the critics have been harsher to Marvel movies lately than the fans have. It feels like whatever Marvel craps out, the fans are like, thank you very much. Fantastic. I
Yum.
love
Yummy.
it. Yummy.
Love my gruel.
At the very least, the critics seem to give it a more fair score. And I liked a couple of reviews. I saw a couple of positive ones and a couple of negative ones. I usually don't watch reviews before we talk about a movie. But in this case, I was curious because I was surprised that the audience score was higher. But that seems to be the general case with most of the Marvel properties now. The critic score ends up somewhere in the 80s. It was a little bit lower for some of them, but like then you get movies like The Eternals, which literally no one in their right mind could like. Nobody, and everybody crapped on that. So it's just.
I thought that the critic scores were going to be like raving about this film just because of the way that the marketing built it up to be a cultural milestone.
Like The Woman King. Same
Right.
thing happened there. Yeah.
See, but I don't
Same
think that's.
situation.
I didn't think that was what was going to happen because, in my opinion, there was too much conflict between the blue. Well, it's not the blue checkmark class anymore, guys. The
Now
$8.
we're
The
all the
$8 a month class.
proletariat, yep.
Wait, is it $8 once or is it $8 once a month?
Oh, I think it's once a
per
month.
month. Yeah.
Okay. There's too much conflict between the elitist class and the plebs about whether T'Challa should have been recasted or not, which automatically drew a little bit of divide between people. That and the fact that the former blue checkmark class didn't like Letitia Wright because she basically said, I'm not sure if I want to take the vaccine early on in the pandemic. And then she got labeled as like an anti-vaxxer.
They took Wakanda Forever out of their bios.
Yeah.
When they saw
they took the fist
But
out.
enough time passed where people were able to memory hole that or at least pretend that it didn't happen.
I didn't even hear about it, so it must have been.
Yeah, so that was I mean, there was like a lot of that was at the height of like the look at this person. They don't have a picture of Fauci in their profile.
They claimed that Letitia Wright's non-compliance in relation to getting the vaccine caused the set, caused them to fully stop production,
which was proven wrong.
Yeah, it was proven wrong,
She
and
got
it was
injured.
actually that she got injured in one of those motorcycle scenes.
I will call her out a little bit. I did read an article the other day where she talked about how she like dealing with her injury on set when this happened. She's like, I'm still dealing with it in therapy. Like,
hopefully physical therapy.
That's my hope.
To deal with your meniscus.
But to be fair, she's tiny. She's like this wide. She's itty bitty. Like it's weird that she has the most all of this on her shoulders because she's that tiny. It's also interesting that I think it works because she does. You said earlier she's got a really.
I love her voice.
She's got an amazing.
She's got a very
cadence.
cute voice.
Yeah. So like a lot of those scenes where she's talking in a low, she's talking very low.
She's talking somberly.
Yeah. and that works
Yeah.
right there. So it's just, I feel like our culture needs to find a place again where maybe we connect with real people just a little bit more, so that we're not looking to the fictional world of Wakanda for emotional connection. Remember, after the first Black Panther came out, people went on like Travelocity and looked up how to take trips to Wakanda.
Yeah.
Because I'm imagining that those are probably the same people who are crying outside of.
Dude, I saw a tweet that said, like, stop asking when we can have a white version of Wakanda. That's just every sci-fi movie ever.
No, the funniest thing to me is it's not only this like kind of emotional like rewriting that people do. It's also the historical, where they see an absence of something. They're like, okay, well, we have to do this thing justice. The colonizer's story has been told.
Yeah.
It's time to tell the story of the Aztec Empire, like they tried to do.
There's
in this
a lot
movie.
of that in this movie.
Yeah, yeah, and honestly,
feel-
it could have been so much better. Like if, because honestly, like Tenochtitlan and like some of these places in the Aztec Empire were unironically kind of impressive places, right?
Yeah.
So if they would have, built this up as like, look, we are in this Aztec Empire, and then the Spanish come, and the smallpox, whatever. It's like, yeah, smallpox really sucked.
That part felt shoehorned in.
It totally
really
shoehorned.
They had
Then
to become
came-
sea mutants in order to escape smallpox death.
Yeah, and they didn't even
That's
escape.
what-
Yeah, they didn't escape from like the Aztec Empire, which
No.
was now being overrun. They escaped from like this small village, and then they come back, and it's like now there's like colonial type houses
Yeah,
and slavery. It's like,
How
well,
long
if you
was
look
that?
if you look at the Aztecs, it's like that is like human sacrifice. They would like kill people in ritual and eat them, and so it's
There was
always
this
silly to me
weird,
when they do that rewriting.
General feeling that Namor is right, but you just don't want to admit it.
Yeah.
Like, Namor wants to take revenge on the colonizing class, but you're just too noble to admit that he's right for that. And it was the same thing from Killmonger.
Yeah.
Like, the asshole you don't want to admit is right.
Chadwick Boseman doesn't die. There's at least one scene where Namor comes out of the water and says, "Namor, Mr. Nice Guy."
I wish. Yeah.
Yeah, I will give that actor credit. I thought he did fine in his role. We're getting back into like a bit of a review element.
It was
there.
going to blend together anyway.
Look, guys. Did you ever see the movie 300?
Yes.
You're Hollywood. There's steroids. Get these guys some steroids and like tighten up those figures if they're going to be shirtless.
I didn't think that, but okay.
Well, you know what? Here we have the modern woman, the dad bod appreciator.
I'm not going to
Dad
shame
bod is a
Namor.
psyop.
I'm not going
It
to body
is.
shame Namor, okay?
No, you know what? We have to return to tradition. I want 80s. I want Sylvester
what?
Stallone.
Yeah.
I want Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
These guys have no excuse. You're getting millions of dollars. Even Robert Pattinson, who I have a ton of respect for, because he said, you know what? For Batman, I'm not going to do steroids. I don't want to do that. That's awesome. He didn't look bad, though. This guy was still pretty ripped. He was lower weight. He wasn't huge, but he was still pretty ripped. There's no excuse. There is millions and millions of dollars going into this movie.
Shouldn't be that many shots of his back without more defined back
You do
muscles.
not get to be skinny. You need to be putting up PRs before every single shoot with your shirt off. There's no excuses.
They did that when Kumail Nanjiani got hired for the Eternals, and then they showed this, like, he had like a Men's Health cover where he's just absolutely, and you could just tell it's steroids.
Yeah,
It's like-
yep.
And they're like, and basically, one of the YouTubers that I love, Zach, he does this thing where he talks about, it's like, if this dude can get in shape, like, you have no excuse. And someone's like, dude, it's steroids. Like, that dude, like, I guarantee you, he's a producer, he's an actor, he's doing all this stuff. He does not have the time to get into shape that fast.
It's no coincidence that Namor was getting a bunch of simps on Twitter thirsting after that dad bod. They're kind of spreading that dad bod propaganda through this movie.
Mary can propagate the dad bod propaganda. I'm here to body shame the men into telling them
I'm
that
on
they
no
need to
one's
be
side.
They need
I'm
to
not
be in better
invested in
shape.
this.
Look,
It's important to say bullying is good and moral. Bullying is good and moral.
But at least the women were attractive, no fatties.
Shaved heads, not nuts about that.
There were some baldies.
The women who had hair looked pretty good.
But the women were all in shape.
Yes.
The women were all in great
Yes.
shape. The men were all kind of tubby and average looking. And I'm just
That's
saying,
weird.
300 wasn't that long ago, guys. We need to make like.
Well, M'Baku was obviously huge.
He's
not like ripped.
He's
he was
kind
just,
of like
Was he in bulk season?
Yeah, he was bulking.
He's definitely bulking.
He was
right
dirty
now.
bulking.
They live in the snowy mountains, all right. You know, it's constantly winter there. That's bulk season.
Or maybe what it is like all the men are still mourning after the passing of T'Challa, and they've gotten off their routine.
And they get the
Yeah.
funeral food.
Yeah, and they.
Lockdown was hard for them too.
Oh yes. Oh, there's also that's an interesting to talk about. There is definitely some cinematography choices in this movie that tell you that it was filmed during COVID.
This
meaning
I
that
didn't have the eye for.
Me
There's
neither.
there's
Yeah.
there's a lot of shots that could have been pulled together into 2 shots or over the shoulder shots that they don't do, because to do it over the shoulder, if they were going to do it in COVID, would have had to have been green screen, and they couldn't do that, so they couldn't actually shoot it like that. So it felt like there's some close-ups in places where there wouldn't have been close-ups before. The close-ups with Shuri worked because she has to show a lot of emotion on her face throughout it, but it felt like there was definitely some COVID protocol shooting. Her when Ramonda comes into the UN, her like guard have masks on, like
Yeah.
which that felt like a weird
Kind of random.
I don't know. I don't remember if the same thing was held true in the original Black Panther or in Captain America Civil War. I don't remember if there was a similar set of characters there, but it felt like COVID to me.
Yeah.
So all I'm saying is let's get the men in better shape,
Big
and maybe like we should have some more real world emotional experiences together, so that the height of our emotional resonance in the world today is not done through Marvel movies.
Yes.
Just seems like a fair
Yeah.
thing.
You know what you have to do?
Yep.
Kill a
Let's
love
move on
member
to
or a
some
cat.
super chats
Let's go to
here.
super chats.
Rega Tan said, "R.I.P. Kevin Conroy. You will never be forgotten."
I wanted to mention that was like I was gonna do this before we did the first super. That was actually going to be the first thing we were going to do today, but because I'm me and I make mistakes. Yeah, Kevin Conroy passes at the age of 66. The definitive voice of Batman for many people. Batman the Animated Series, Batman Mask of the Phantasm. It's funny because I was thinking about it. I recently watched Batman The Dark Knight Returns, but that's Peter Weller because it's playing an older version of the character. But to many people, Kevin Conroy is that quintessential Batman. But also, the comedian Gallagher passed away, guys. If you don't, the guy who used to hit watermelons with a... No, you guys are very young. It's even before my time, but my dad would have. He hit watermelons with a sledgehammer. That was his thing.
Oh.
Yeah. So
Okay.
Doesn't that sound hilarious, Mary?
No, okay, there's a scene,
Comedy.
There's a scene in an episode of Hawaii Five-O that's exactly that, where this lady's like she's like the medical examiner person. She's dropping watermelons off of like a ladder, and the 2 guys walk in. They're like, "What are you doing there, Gallagher?" She goes, "Gallagher," and they go, "He was a comedian. He hit watermelons with a sledgehammer." She goes, "And people found that funny?"
Yeah.
He goes, "It was the 80s.
Yeah.
It was the 80s.
People were
It was
simpler
It was
back
a different
then.
time." So yes,
Love that my first reaction to Kevin Conroy's death was, well, he'll just turn into an AI voice now.
and that's a scary thought too. Like
Forever immortalized in the digital plane
And easier-
against his will.
and easier to do with animated stuff
Yeah.
than with digital stuff. So it's funny because I don't have like because he did a lot of animated work, I didn't have like a timeline of what he looked like throughout his life.
Yeah.
But he did a live action appearance as Bruce Wayne in the Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover on the CW, and I thought he looked older than he was,
Yeah.
sickly. But that could just be somebody might age different. Like if you're a voice actor, you're not necessarily on camera all the time. But yes, rest in peace, in peace, Kevin Conroy.
About the whole 80s era, it's like, you know what? That is totally fine with me. If we can get the bodybuilders, I'll take the watermelon smashing. You know what? We can if we
about
can
the
make that
cocaine,
trade
too?
happen.
Yeah.
And the cocaine, the stock market's
That
going to
was-
improve a lot.
Bumps for bumps.
Yeah.
Regatan also said, "Is that a JoJo reference?" Also,
Yes. Yeah,
do you
the
play
shirt.
Elden Ring?
I assume he's asking me. It could be any of
Yes,
us.
he is definitely asking.
He
you.
asks
Yeah.
every guest.
He already
whether
knows
they
it.
play
Oh, let's go.
Okay.
Hey, thanks, pal. I appreciate you asking. I have played Elden Ring. Yeah, I didn't get too far into it, but it is a very good game. I'm a big Berserk head, so the first thing I did was like run to where the replica of Guts' sword from Berserk is and just model my character after him. I spent like 30 minutes in the character creator doing
Do you
that.
do a lot of gaming streams?
I do. Yeah,
Okay.
I've been doing a lot lately.
He's
I'm a
going to
big
be
fan.
thrilled that you have have played Elden Ring, because almost no one has.
Everyone, yeah, you ask
I only
everyone.
play it on stream though. That's the thing. I feel like I'm cheating on my viewership when I play it off stream. So
Is that are there games you only play straight? Like, is that
Yeah.
a pretty common thing?
yeah, there's a few that I just don't enjoy unless I'm
You're
playing.
like, oh, fine,
Yeah.
I'll play it.
Yeah, CS:GO is kind of my go-to. Just put in like an arms race match of CS:GO. But Elden Ring is one of those where it's like there's a specific group in the audience. Gaming streams don't do as well typically, but there's always a group of guys that are ready to watch that playthrough. I'm just not that good at it, so it's not rewarding for them to watch. But I rage out quite a bit.
Waffles Sensei said, at this point, maybe we should just start a PCC Elden Ring group.
They should we were talking
Start
the
a
other day
Discord,
about
maybe.
the show will have arrived when two people get married after meeting from the show.
Inevitable.
It's inevitable. That'll be when we know we've made it.
Yeah. Unknown said, R.I.P. Kevin Conroy, the Batman.
The Batman, absolutely. In fact, I think I'm going to watch Mask of the Phantasm this weekend in his honor. I think that was his first portrayal of the. It's I watched a couple of reviews of that recently, and I remembered how much, because I've been watching some of the 2022, the last couple years of DC animated movies, and they have fallen down in quality. They made it a little bit longer than the regular movie industry did before that went to crap, but I'm just not liking a lot of the recent animated movies, so we'll see.
Marcos said, what age range do you consider childhood/growing up? It's kind of a random question.
Philosophical one right there.
Like 8 to 16, probably.
Well,
About where
it's
I'd put it.
before 8, right?
I guess, but I don't really remember that much from before
You
that.
consider
so
after. What's funny is
it's like toddler.
This is one of those ones that I've been thinking about recently, because it feels like we're marching towards a society where you're like a kid until you're 30.
Yeah.
We're like they're like,
Or we're already there.
we're talking about we talk about it a lot in the context of like actresses who are like, well, I met this producer and he had sex with me so I could have a role. It's like, well, you were like 21 at the time. You were a freaking adult.
Yep.
Like it's like you made that choice. Is that the right choice? That's not for me to say. This is the moral choice. It's not for me to say. I'm not going to judge you, but you don't get to go takesy-backsies and pretend like you weren't an adult when you made those decisions.
Yeah.
And it feels like we're increasingly pushing the age range as to what is like, well, power and balance, this, and this. You're now a child until you're basically 35.
Yep. Well, and that's the thing. It's like if we're following the logic as consistently as we can, we'd push the age of consent back to 21, because people are just more immature now than ever. But obviously, people are still making crazy, stupid decisions. They just don't have an equal measure of responsibility. And so what I think balances people's poor decision making out is not this like, oh, you need to push back the age of them being accountable for anything. You need to give them responsibility. You need to give them something or some people to care for. Give them a job. Give them things that they feel their reputation is on the line for, and then they'll start to take things more seriously. And that's always how it was, right? The way back when, you had like 14-year-olds and even younger than that were working. People talk about children working as like paper boys. That was so normal, and the kids were making money. I remember when I was even 14, I was like, I want a job. Why can't I get a job yet? I hate these labor laws. So, maybe the libertarians, maybe not right now, but at some point they may have been up to some actually like good stuff there with the child labor laws.
Maybe
and all
that's
that.
those paleo libertarians.
The kids want to go back to the mines.
I'm a fan of paleo libs,
I still
align
need
with
to
them.
like as a small L libertarian, I would need to figure out what the hell a paleo libertarian actually is first.
The way the leftists would put it is like libertarian but racist. It's like the way they put it.
So there's actually a definition for it. Okay.
The Hans Hermann Hoppe is the guy that's always referenced with paleo libs. So it's basically, to me, it's almost just like statism, because it's, we have our rules in our libertarian voluntary societies, but we reserve the right to kick anybody out who does things that we deem are degenerate.
Basically like homeowners associations.
Exactly.
It's communism light.
Yep.
It's full circle. Cornell said, hey chat, greetings Kai, sup Brett, and Hail Mary. But you spelled it like Merry Christmas, so I guess you're not talking to me.
So it's slightly, but does that make it slightly less blasphemous if it doesn't say Hail Mary with an A?
Maybe, yeah. Caper2X said, Mary wants to follow revenge, color me surprised. Yeah.
Have you ever seen
That's
the
how I
TV
am.
show Revenge? Oh
no.
man, you love that. It's it feels like it's
It's dark. You'd love it.
It's from a time period like 2011, which is a unique time in popular culture.
Okay.
Emily Van Camp is she went on to play Sharon Carter, and I know her recently from the much underrated family drama Everwood from the year 2004. But Emily Van Camp comes back to avenge family members. It's really interesting. It's kind of in the vein of like if an adult made a show about revenge for Pretty Little Liars, but it's kind of like for the next age bracket up. It's
I still need to watch Pretty Little Liars. You're the Pretty Little Liars stan.
I did watch the first 4 or 5 seasons of Pretty Little Liars. I'm never gonna live that down. But I haven't either. Look, trashy TV is fine. It's like my favorite part is how it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
How like literally everything contradicts everything else, and I don't care. Like this is why like when we had a guest on once and we were arguing about like how he's like doesn't like the Christopher Nolan Batman movies. He's pointing out all these logical inconsistencies. I'm like, I don't care. I don't. Was it cool? Did Batman do cool things?
Yep.
Did he drive the tumbler over a bunch of cop cars? Fine. I don't care if it doesn't make sense. Just me.
I think it is so funny hearing you go off like, yeah, I wanted Sherry to like burn the world, and your backdrop is like, it's like all these stuffed animals. That's my favorite juxtaposition.
Yeah. Well, I was like trying to get you to write evil thumbnails this morning while playing like JoJo Get Out.
Most of our thumbnails are like if it's slightly like hilariously snarky or rude, it's got some Mary influence.
Yeah.
Not my favorite is still the one about threatens to direct a DC movie, but that was actually
Olivia Wilde threatens.
That one was me.
Yeah, that was all Brett's genius.
But in general, like if they like Mary's like, you got to change this word, and then it's like whatever it is, it punches it up to a little bit more snarky.
Yeah.
Helmsway 1 said, great guest. Had a great convo yesterday with him. Must have him on again. Spelling is hard with auto. I can't say that on. Hi, Brett.
Well, hello, Helmsway. We miss you here at the end of the week.
I concur.
Yes.
I think he's right.
Yes. Maybe we'll have you as a recurring guest.
Oh, yippee.
Are you going to pronounce this next one?
No.
That's bad.
Devil Daddy DiCaprio. I'm sorry. I can't read your next one, but I'll read this one. F is for friends who do stuff together. U is for you and me. N is for anywhere at any time at all. Down here on the PCC.
Is anywhere Taco Bell?
I guess.
I think anywhere would be anywhere as long as it's at a Taco Bell somewhere. Which we had we got into a whole debate yesterday about Taco Bell that somehow became a debate about which Mountain Dew is the best. Yeah. That was a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Why were you trashing Taco Bell?
I wasn't trashing Taco Bell. Was I?
Were we talking about Baja Blast specifically?
We were talking Baja Blast. Then you mentioned the KFC, A&W, Taco Bell combined. Because I used to work at a KFC.
Yes.
I never knew A&W was involved in this.
Yeah, they're kind of like the odd one out. But I mean, you get root beer floats and burgers.
Apparently, guys, if you take a regular Mountain Dew and you put blue Gatorade into the regular Mountain Dew, it just becomes Baja Blast. I can't confirm or deny. Yep. I'm just saying you can try it yourself. Let us know.
Sources tell us.
Yeah. Well, I saw a video of a guy doing it on Reels, but it's like, I don't know if that's actually. The guy could just be
you didn't taste it,
What do I know?
T-Bone said, big comic fan and liked the movies. I give Black Panther 5.5 out of 10. The storyline could have been better, and Shuri's vengeance came out of nowhere, and there was no vengeance. And the final fight could have been 10 times better. Sad music at the end was unnecessary.
I didn't like the movie, and the rest of it was awesome.
But it was above average.
I will say that the music in general for the movie I thought was really, really good, especially the montage, the obscenely long montage scene. It was like an 8-minute montage. I was like, what? Like, who's doing this? It just kept going.
But I thought it was good. Some of the I am like a huge fan of cool synthesizers, and I love 80s music for that reason. That's like my favorite genre, my favorite decade.
Who's your favorite artist?
I'm a huge fan of Naked Eyes. And I saw him live too, along with Wang Chung, which was really, it's sad watching 80s guys perform because they're all like very old and can't do it well. But also Hall & Oates. That I have to say, Hall & Oates. My show is called Out of Touch, kind of in tribute to that.
Do you ever listen to like the retro new wave stations that like blend a lot of those together? Like, a lot of it is like.
Do you like city pop?
Yeah, like Japanese city pop.
You seem like
good.
You'd be a big city pop
fan.
So good.
A lot of the retro new wave stuff always comes off to me kind of like how Stranger Things thinks of the 80s. Like it's how they imagine the 80s to be, not how the 80s actually were. Like Like
Where are the brown kitchens?
yes. Okay.
Where are the
logos
carpeted
always,
brown kitchens
all the
and the
logos-
wood paneling?
all the logos are always pink,
Yep.
blue, like because it's that cup that you got at the mall. Right?
Yes.
It's the pink, like.
Yeah.
But that's not what the '80s were. The '80s were brown and weird shades of green. And I always tell Mary that I had my kitchen at home had brown carpeting and green and brown appliances that I am sure ended up on a Pinterest somewhere of like what not to make your kitchen look like. But I loved it. I loved it.
My family's, we had this like light tan with kind of the wood like accents, and then the downstairs was the worst. The wood paneling, the vertical wood paneling.
I was listening to Coming Right Along by the Posies, and when I hear that song, I literally picture a wood-paneled basement room with a bunch of kids drinking beer they stole from their dad.
Yep.
And it's the great, like, it's one of the funny things about music, right? Like, how does that song, which has nothing to do with that,
any of that,
I think the Posies were the 90s, so, like, it's just really funny that somehow emotes, like that, it evokes that emotion from you.
Yeah.
Let's save the rest of the
All right.
super chats and we'll continue on.
To be continued.
To be continued, guys.
Yes.
So we have this story here about Adin Ross, who is a Twitch streamer who does a lot of NBA 2K. He got temporarily banned on Twitch after a swatting incident. And I have to say that I assume that the reason for the temporary ban would be they thought it was something that he did himself. I can't imagine why they would ban him otherwise.
My theory was that like, I didn't see the whole video, so I don't know. But they probably wanted to stop it either before the guns showed up on stream, because I do think that's a TOS thing. Is to show guns on the stream, or they did show up on the stream. In which case, it's like Twitch is going to ban you for the SWAT coming in and breaking TOS.
Let's play the clip. The point here is that.
Some people thought that Adin Ross faked this because of the way he's talking about getting swatted.
Yes, let's watch it. So
we got swatted. I'm streaming right now. Everyone can hear you. We got swatted. We got. There's a SWAT team at my house right now, bro. I can hear him.
Like, why is the first thing you do is like call your friend about it?
Yeah, he's coming right now. I hear it. All right.
All right, peace out.
It just seems really fake to me.
Why do y'all do this, bro?
Why do y'all do this?
As he checks,
Zooms in.
Are you really that worried?
Why do y'all do this to people, bro?
They're so toxic.
Why do y'all do this, bro?
Oh my god, I'm
Why
so
the fuck
toxic.
do y'all swat people? Why do y'all do this shit? I hear my friends outside already like being screamed at by cops, bro. Why do y'all do this, bro? Why do y'all do this,
Let
bro?
me fix my headset.
He's
Why do y'all do this shit, bro?
Comes back.
Like, why do y'all fucking do this, bro?
Why do y'all do
It
this?
just feels so
Why do
fake
y'all
to me.
fucking do this, dude? What is wrong with you guys, bro? I could fucking die. My friends could fucking die. Everyone's outside right now, bro.
Like,
Y'all really
streaming
fucking swat
yourself
people, bro. I
getting
hope whoever's doing
swatted
it, bro,
encourages
the
more
worst happens to you,
swatting.
Like, bro, I hope you never amount to anything. Hope bad shit happens to you all your whole life, bro. Look at me, bro. This is like not. I hear helicopters, bro. Like, this shit is fucking weird, bro.
Do you hear a
Yeah, you know why
helicopter?
this shit
You're
is
I
a
don't.
helicopter.
There are
And I
like
gotta sit this,
searchlights
bro,
going
and
into the
there's gonna be guns
windows.
pointed at me on stream.
Helicopters isn't how they do it anyway. They go quiet.
No.
Y'all are fucking lame as fuck, bro. I genuinely hope you guys fucking lose in life. You're fucking weird.
Is there anybody out there?
He's got the track camera on, so something must have been. But
Shit is fucking whack, dude. This is,
So-
it's not a script.
That's what I want to talk about. Okay, so to me, this feels like one of those things. We're at a time in life now where there is no distinguishable difference between the real world and what's fake anymore.
I mean, even
especially-
if the swatting isn't fake, he seems to be definitely overreacting.
Yeah.
Or at least his reaction is fake since this has happened before. Why is it shocking and making him so angry when he could just go outside and tell them what happened?
yeah, I think he did the right thing where he just like put his hands up.
But then he was like messing with all of the stuff on his desk,
Yeah, a
and he
little
was like
bit.
zooming in the camera.
They weren't inside yet. Like the way it was for me is like because I got swatted a little while back while I was on a debate panel, and like you were saying about encouraging swatting. So I was on a debate stream with Destiny. Destiny's editor put in the title "Pro-Trump streamer swatted during debate," which is like just farming clicks from it. But
Yeah.
that was all right. How it works basically for those who haven't been swatted, which I hope is most of you guys, the police go quiet. They don't bring helicopters and whatnot. It's not like this come out with your hands up kind of thing until they're like, they know somebody's in a room. Usually, well, I don't know about usually, but in my case, they called ahead even. If they sense that it's a swatting, and Adin Ross has been swatted before, is the thing.
Yep.
Adin Ross, unless he is very stupid, which I don't think he's the sharpest tool in the shed, probably went and talked to people and figured that he should get his house flagged. If you were a streamer, you can, and this is good advice for anybody that does stream, get your house flagged. Say you're a streamer, there's a potential of a fake swatting call to come in, and then when the police get a call to that address, they will have seen the flag and they'll say, okay, there's a chance this is a fake call.
Yeah.
There's some people where the police show up, like my buddy's gotten swatted a few times. They just knock on the door, it's like the local sheriff, and he's like, hey, fake swatting call, and he's like, yeah, fake swatting call, and that's it. So the thing, I don't know if it's fake, but I will say, if this is like a second or third time, I don't know how many times he's been swatted before, at least once though. He knows how this works, and he understands that the risk is much lower the second time around than it is the first, because you should have your house flagged, and the situation is something that you're already aware of. So yeah, his reaction seems very corny in this case.
I saw this tweet from Jake Lucky that said Adin Ross blatantly lying about not knowing why he was banned on Twitch. LMAO, what a surprise. And then it like showed this tweet from Adin Ross saying, I got banned on Twitch indefinitely, not sure what I said though, not sure what I did. It occurred on stream or VOD, I don't know, man. And then posted the screenshot of the reason saying hateful slurs or symbols.
For context, by the way.
That doesn't seem like getting banned for guns.
Yeah,
Saying
for
bro
context,
that
though,
many
he was
times is a crime.
yeah,
Right.
He was only banned for like half an hour. That was it. So for context, he's not banned very
Currently,
long.
yeah.
Yep. Got unbanned after 26 minutes, 49 seconds. So
Is that them like basically checking into it to see?
it could be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's pretty prominent on Twitch. This guy's big on Twitch. So any kind of ban like that is probably being checked off, right? But I mean, like the reason for it is still totally up in the air. They say like hateful slurs and whatnot. Yeah, maybe after saying bro so many times.
That does feel like a crime against the English language. If my ums and ahs on this show are a crime against the English language, if all of the stuttering that I have to go through on this show is an affront to your eardrums, then saying bro that many times absolutely is as well.
He put some slur feeling into it. He's like, bro, bro, why you do this, bro?
Yeah, it's what's his name from the guy who used to run WC. There's a guy who used to run WCW, and he's pro wrestling. He would always be known as the guy who would say bro all the time. Bro, this bro. But like for something like this, we've had this happen here. Obviously, that's happened. I've been through this a number of times, but it does feel like we're in an age now where there are going to be people that are ghoulish enough to use stuff like this to benefit them, and that's coming from a world where the real world and your digital space are no longer distinguishable from one another. And you're an actor. You're always kind of an actor.
That reminds me of Amaranth. Like a lot of people accused Amaranth of lying or being in a scheme with her husband to create this whole fake scene of their split and their rift being exposed to the world. She said these things that seemed like written lines that were scripted, like, you built our empire off of my body. And it's like, you don't really say that when you're in an emotionally tense conversation fighting with your spouse over the phone. You don't say something that sounds that dramatic and weighty, right?
And it feels like we're in an age now where there's a lot of clips you see online. It's like you were talking about, like not the e-boys who post the clips of them getting arrested.
Listen, Kai, I tried to convince them on the stream that there are really videos where TikTok e-boys like put fake blood on their face and pretend to get arrested, and they were like, no, they don't.
They absolutely do. They put the hands behind the back. They look back towards the camera,
and they do a little wink.
Dane didn't believe it.
And Dane was like, what kind of weird shit are you looking up on TikTok, Mary? And I was like, I don't look it up. I just see the cringe compilations, dude.
But we're in a world now where nothing's distinguishable from one another, where everything you see, it's like when you watch on the street interviews, right? Like there is no real distinguishable reality between who's who you are. And I think this is a problem of the youth, right? As the generation under me, I guess, would be like my generation grew up. I had a cell phone in high school, but most of them didn't have. It's not like you had the internet on your phone at that point. Now everyone is being turned into a weird subpar performance artist at all times.
Thank you,
guys. Thank you.
Let's go.
Woo, let's go. So everyone is especially if you're looking to make a name for yourself online, has to become a type of weird performance artist where you're always kind of on, and you can't tell the difference between when are they actually themselves and when are they their character, because the character doesn't have a different name or a different persona. It's just them.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about Andrew Tate. You say that he is just really good at making soundbite worthy clips.
Yep.
And maybe all that he says isn't reflective of his values. Yeah. But
I think he's good at it. I think he interviews very, very well.
Yeah.
But for the segmented clips.
Yeah. It's weird that your lights are still flashing.
Are they?
I think he's really good at getting those clips. I think the problem is when he was I understand that my views can get taken out of context when they're just portrayed in these clips. It's like, dude, that's viral marketing, right? Mm-hmm. You get to a point, and every person that does a show has to realize this at some point. There's a group of people. There's a number of people who will always take your opinions to mean the worst that they could possibly mean.
Always.
And if you are now tailoring your actions to try and get those people to act more good faith, you'll always lose. Because from the get-go, they didn't aim to work in good faith. They don't have this they don't have a standard where once you've done this thing, I'm actually going to start treating you with respect. They'll always find another thing. So if you base your interactions with your audience or with how you make content off of the group of people who will always be unhappy with it, you're going to be miserable. You're going to be totally miserable. And for, all that TikTok, sucked out of me and totally beat me up and all that, for how awful political TikTok was to me, because I had this platform-wide, niche-wide group of people trying to cancel me. I'm sure you felt the same thing. It definitely taught me what opinions matter and which ones don't. And once you can discern who is actually worth listening to, you end up a lot happier. It's very stoic.
I think we're going to be stuck with just a flashing light today.
I like it.
I mean, that's fine. Matches the chaotic energy. Maybe when the next crisis party happens, it'll reset itself.
If somebody wants to help us get to another crisis party, that was how we'll know. But that's actually something that I've had to deal with, right? Because I'm one of those people that does I hate the aspect of the internet that is everything that you post is designed to be deconstructed by someone in the worst possible context. It's one of the reasons that I tell people look, you're really, really, your posts that are designed to be really, really viral, or your statements that are supposed to be like that, people that post stuff repeat. I had a friend who said the other day, repeal the 19th. I'm like, look, that's designed. There's so much nuance to what your point is when you're making that point. No, that was one of our listeners. That was one of our viewers sent me that they were arguing with people about that. I'm like, look, when you post something that controversial, even if you have a fleshed out point of view that absolutely responsibly explains what you mean, the phrasing that you're giving is designed to be deconstructed by people that don't agree with you.
But isn't that fine as long as you don't let it suck you into a bunch of fruitless discussions with people who in bad faith? Because that's what I thought TikTok was. That's how I use TikTok. I'm sure that's how you use TikTok. Is you just I would just post and just go. I would not, I wasn't even interested in the For You page. I would just post and close the app, and I would scroll through the comments a little bit, but never or almost never respond to any comments at all. Especially the option to do a video response to a comment is just setting yourself up to get mass reported by people with victim complexes. So it was all about posting and being able to mentally disengage from the topic after that, because it's supposed to be short, it's supposed to be pithy, you make your point in a punchy way. That's what the platform is. The medium is the message.
And I guess I just don't like that aspect of it. I'm the type of person I don't want to argue with you on the internet. I'd rather discuss it with you in person.
Both have their merits, though.
I think it's being worked on.
Oh, okay.
Still flashing.
Thank you, Christopher Poole.
You see those 100 like message chains
Yeah.
on TikTok
Who's got
comments.
time for that?
Yeah, I
With
would,
a
I would
character
time
limit
people
of
out.
like 100.
yes. I would just start banning people from my chat. I would message them, hey, just DM each other. I am sick of seeing the notifications of you two schmucks just arguing back and
Like,
forth.
get on a phone call.
Yeah,
I guess.
literally. Go kiss each other already.
Even like that even happens like when people like somebody will say something negative on like one of my posts on Instagram about my skating, and then it's still going, and then
Okay.
somebody will respond defending me. I'm like, oh my god, he just started
Yes.
an entire argument. I'm like, can you guys please just not argue?
Really?
about it here?
I
Like,
thought that was always funny when people would argue in my. I guess it stopped.
Like on your behalf.
you fixed it. Thank you, thank you, Chris.
When people would argue on my behalf or just in general argue in my comment sections, I would find it funny, and it's also good for me algorithmically. So
Yeah.
that didn't bother me.
Speaking of algorithm, I have a buddy who literally he intentionally mispronounces words so that
just
people
so that
mention
people
it in the
correct it.
comments.
Oh yeah, like
and boost the algorithm.
I don't have that. I was told to like leave my. I had like a rough week the other week with like the titles. I kept misspelling stuff, or like I would make changes to a thumbnail and not remove a word, and then
Yeah.
of course you get like a bunch of comments where people are like, "Look, good job, loser," for misspelling. Like, and people like just leave it in there because then people will like. I'm like, I don't have that in me to just leave it in there. I have to go back and change it. But yeah, that's absolutely the
It's
thing.
been a source of a lot of psychological torment for you.
And it's like somebody's like, I don't mean to pile on, but I found this old thumbnail from like. So I'm like, no, please.
while I'm messaging you other ones
Please,
too.
God, why? No. But this is a problem for me because I am one of those people that like when I post something, I don't like the fact that somebody's like clearly. No, I don't necessarily believe that all of them are doing it in bad faith, but I don't like it when I have to be misinterpreted for what I actually mean, which is why I just avoid that type of content, altogether online. Like, it's different when we're doing the show because we're actually discussing it through. People can take whatever they want from that in the comment sections of those videos, but I'm not going to debate it with them online. I'd rather talk about it with them in person.
Yep.
Kai, do you know what Adin Ross might have done or said to be controversial enough to get swatted? If you're like,
he's an IRL streamer. Well, kind of, somewhat. A lot of the times he just puts the camera down and is hanging out with people. He hangs out with lots of famous people. He's one of the biggest on Twitch right now. I think he's done some gambling in the past.
Yeah, I
don't
saw
know
some
what
stuff that they said there was.
They're
there was
moving
a
away
couple
from
of,
gambling now.
There was a couple of
Yeah.
articles that were like Adin Ross responds to claims of racism, which is like the bare minimum of what you're going to get hate for online now. They're gonna
especially on Twitch.
they're going to find that in everything you do.
But honestly, like there's a chance he said a slur or something, but I think he's probably careful about that. And they wouldn't give you an indefinite suspension for that most of the time. It would be a 1 week, 1 month kind of suspension.
Or they roll out like 30 minutes even.
Yeah. My guess is it's like somebody was like, hey, this guy's getting swatted. Let's probably not publish that. And
Especially if something were to go wrong. You don't want that to
you do
be
not want somebody
live.
getting killed live on Twitch. You don't want that
No.
happening.
So
So,
is a
that's what I
30-minute
thought happened.
Is a
Yeah.
30-minute stream? Is a 30-minute ban a thing where they ban you for? That's
Nope.
Or
hilarious.
if it's only to halt the stream that
No,
he's
yeah.
doing.
Talk about like
It was an indefinite stream, reverse 30 minutes later is the thing, which is weird.
Imagine the
Oh,
addiction of our
okay.
like the culture of addiction we have, where you can be threatened with a 30-minute ban. They're like, you're not going to be able to be online for like 30 minutes, and you're like, come on, man.
That's how it is with like apps, though.
Yeah.
With apps, hey, if you want to, level up your Clash of Clans thing, you're gonna have to wait a few days or a
getting
few
rate
hours.
limited.
Yeah, and people will pay hundreds of dollars to level it up right now.
You know they've got that app for your phone that can lock. You can lock yourself out of your phone for a certain amount of hours because people just have no self-control.
Psychotic.
Or the lock
Yeah.
boxes
Yeah,
for them.
it's just a huge box in your phone.
good.
Just like you couldn't just drill through it. I'm sure you.
That you need to just have someone take it from you that you trust will not like give in if you ask for it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's literally what, like, if you're going through addiction, like, that's a thing that can happen to someone. Is like, look, hey, man, like, I need some help. And then, like, you're like 30 minutes later, an hour later, you're like, come on, man. Like, I didn't mean it. I was kidding. Like, that's the thing.
It's like the sirens.
All right, let's go super chats.
I just want to mention someone said he got swatted and banned because he's mid, so that explains that.
Well, with that many bros, that could be why.
Yeah. It's the bros.
Rolando A. Ramirez said, "You're right, Mary. I went to a Catholic retreat for 3 days, and in the 3-hour sermons, people would cry and fall on their knees. I was like, okay. I would rather go to 1 hour church. They were too loud.
Wait.
Yeah, the charismatics go nuts.
Is that because
sometimes.
like is that just a form of like social like people are just like they're so affected by their environment that they just happen the charismatic priest just has a way of reaching people that are more emotionally volatile, so it hits them different?
I don't want to say that it's not ever genuine because it's impossible to know.
Yeah.
But especially when it's in the context of like stand up or raise your hand if you got saved today. Of course, like if you're like 13 at some youth conference and your friend stands up, you're gonna stand up.
Yeah.
And then they're just congratulating themselves because they just saved a room of like 300 12-year-olds or something. And it's like you didn't actually do anything to affect these people personally. But yeah, it is a weird phenomenon, and I think it's spreading in media consumption.
Yeah.
Joe Schmo 32 Electric Boogaloo
my
said, just
man.
joining in, just got out of Black Panther and it was okay. Probably 30 minutes too long.
Yeah, if you cut all of the CIA stuff and you stick with with Shuri most of the film, I think you cut that movie down to 2 hours and 10 minutes, and that's perfectly fine. Like I said, there shouldn't be 2 hours and 40-minute movies anymore. I don't like. I can't imagine that most Americans have the attention span for 2 hour and 40-minute movies anymore.
I freaking loved Batman. I watched it 6 times, but it's like that movie was too long. That movie was 6 times.
Wow.
See, you guys
He's literally me.
You guys were arguing about like whether that line was accurate from Selena Kyle, and I would argue that it's not about whether the line is accurate to her character. It's the fact that none of the other language in the movie is so current year.
It's jarring.
The privileged white men line, by the way.
Like it didn't feel. It felt out of universe. It felt like Selena Kyle from TikTok came out and just said that. And,
that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, like it just felt like there was a writer's note from like the producers, like you got to include one of those.
It's not
like,
very film noir.
The white producers.
Yeah, it doesn't feel very in the. I think they were wearing like 3-button suits in that movie. Like it was very.
Some of them.
It was supposed to be like timeless. Like is it the 90s? Is it the 80s? Is it the early 2000s? They do that a lot in some genres where they give them like modern cars but old phones, or old phones and modern cars, or backwards. Like stuff like that is a way of like making it a weird type of timeless. So.
Devil Daddy DiCaprio said Tillian is back in Dance Gavin Dance, so he's unavailable for the wedding.
That's too bad.
Oh, the wedding.
The Taco Bell wedding?
The wedding that you're still not part of, but he thinks he is, but he thinks you are.
Hope you find someone to substitute for me last minute. Teeny Beanie said, "Hi Kai."
Hey Teeny Beanie.
Do you know this person?
That's my editor.
Oh, that's
very
sweet.
talented editor. Just put a video out. You're gonna have a new one about the Elon Musk stuff out. Hopefully by the end of the month. Yeah.
Okay.
Check it out.
Yeah. You know what's so awesome about the internet and like streaming and whatnot is once you get to a certain point of notoriety, you get people who are like, "Hey, I'm trying to expand my portfolio." This is what happened in Teeny Beanie's case. It's like, "Hey, I'm trying to expand my portfolio. Can I just do free work for you?" And I'm like, "Yes, please." I don't need to pay you. That's awesome. But Teeny Beanie is salaried now.
Yeah.
Not one of those Leafy is here situations. You guys remember those?
Oh yeah.
I
The
just
$50 editor.
I just saw that Clownfish TV was looking for a video editor right now. They just made a community post on YouTube, so they're looking for an editor right now. Maybe I'll send that over to. I got a couple of people who might actually want to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's a little bit different for Leafy is here because that was just like footage of him playing CS:GO,
Literally.
or like whatever, and then him talking over it.
Yeah,
That must have been worth $50 to edit.
Yeah, literally. I mean, Teeny Beanie does like a crazy job. The word to describe the editing style is like schizophrenic.
I liked it. I looked at some of the videos on your channel and sent some to Brett.
Let's go.
Yep.
Yeah, I was talking to the chauffeur. He was he mentioned that he'd seen him as well and enjoyed him.
Excellent.
And schizophrenic, he said, was the right word. So big shout out
to
Teeny
Teeny
Beanie.
Beanie.
Yeah.
Nathan Koss said, "Give kids Tamagotchis to teach responsibility."
I still have a Tamagotchi.
Really?
I still have one, an original.
It's a lot easier than getting your kid a pet.
I have a
to teach
Tamagotchi,
responsibility.
and I have the sumo wrestling Tamagotchis where you could put them together. They're called nano fighters.
Oh, I remember
You could
that.
Put them together.
I could never
to
get them to
fight.
work though.
Yeah, it was a thing. So
It was before my time.
My dad still has the Tamagotchi. I bought the Nano Fighters because I had money, and I was like,
I must have had like something that was a copy of that.
yeah, oh yeah, there was tons of generic knockoffs.
Because it was
of
like
all
that
of
where
them.
you could like connect the devices
Yeah.
and they fight, but then it never worked.
Yeah, it also made no sense because like, what does one person hold it here and one person
Yeah.
holds it here? And it's like this kind of works.
And then like because
You-
they're kids, they're gonna be like tugging it.
you and your
back
bro
and
are
forth.
like uncomfortably close, and you're like, ugh.
That's how they always are in the ads. They're like bumping into each other, like playing
what-
Wii.
Guys, go watch the old ads for the original board game Crossfire with the amazing theme song Crossfire. It's incredible. Like,
I remember that.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and they always, all the ads made every game look way cooler than it actually was in the real world. That's the way things were.
Waffles Sensei said, well, we used to have children working in the coal mines, and now the most famous game they play is Minecraft. The children yearn for the mines. It's so true.
It's
so
what
true.
we need to do is just get them down in the mines as soon as they're born. Give them cocoa melon in the mines.
Yeah.
And then they will age into the mine quicker
Yep.
because they're already down there.
That's
Right.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
if it's time for them to go home at the end of the day, you'll just play the Cocomelon jingle,
Yep.
and they'll come running out.
Well, and kids these days, they wear all this like this awful stuff. They got the bright green Under Armour on, and back in the
They're
day, you
easy
you
to
see
see,
those
yeah.
you see those paper boys.
Yep.
They're up in those caps. They got their 3-button suits on. Some of them wore double-breasted suits. They got their scarves.
They had the
They look
drip.
good.
You
They
still
look
hear
good.
that sometimes. It's like people used to dress up to fly.
Okay. That's what I say.
They-
You
they
should have
do.
seen me on
I
that
know,
plane.
yeah,
I look
Were you dressed
dapper.
up to fly?
Always. Mike
Nice.
Lee was sitting in front of me on the plane,
Oh.
which I had no idea of. He just won the election. I was watching the watch party for it, so I was like, oh hey, what's up, Mike Lee? I was like, that guy looks kind of familiar.
It's like
fun.
I don't think I don't dress up to fly, but I don't dress down either. I just dress normal.
Wearing pajamas to the airport is
Yep,
definitely
disgusting.
frowned upon. I
People
wouldn't
wear
do
like
it.
sandals. They have their toes out on airplanes.
Well, and that
Despicable.
feels like they're doing it like, look at me.
Yeah.
Like I fly so much. I'm so casual. Like it's a power trip.
I think we need to just gatekeep things behind like wealth. Like I'm not a wealthy person. My family's like very, very middle class, and I myself don't make a ton of money. Obviously, I make a good bit streaming, which I'm very fortunate about, very grateful for. But still, it's like you need to take yourself more seriously. Like I couldn't
Price them out of the airplane.
Yeah,
Send them to the
exactly.
Send them to
Yes.
the trains until they can afford to buy an actual suit.
It's a hotel in the sky. You know what? These guys get Amtrak. They get Amtrak. We get the airplane.
you can evolve to the airplane once
Yep.
you can show that you mean business.
Even
Yes.
the train experience used to be
Yeah.
more
used to be nice.
highfalutin.
That's another one of those pictures that your aunt will post on Facebook where it's like that people used to dress up
Yep.
to go on trains too.
I'm with you, Aunt.
It's all your aunt. It's like right after she posts Donald Trump on a unicorn flying over
Yeah.
an American flag.
Ronald
It's,
Reagan on a Velociraptor.
Hey,
Yeah.
leave Reagan out of this. We love Ronald Reagan here.
Caper2X said, and then a troop of Cub Scouts entered the room. Did either of you do that?
I did Scouts.
Scouts?
I've told my stolen valor story where I wore my brother's Weeblos uniform
yeah.
to picture day
Yeah.
once. I did not do Scouts, but I once wore my brother's uniform to picture day. Stolen valor, Brett.
That was one of the last remnants of a high trust society was the Boy Scouts. I was in the Boy Scouts and I talked to my dad. He's like, "You want to become an Eagle Scout?" And I'm like, "Well, actually, Dad." And I was probably like 14 at the time. I was like, "Well, actually, Dad, I'm seeing the social climate and the decision making of the Boy Scouts business, and I see that they are now letting in women into the Boy Scouts. I fear that when I will have my Eagle Scout, it shan't mean a thing." And so I was able to
Good
basically,
point.
I was able to convince them not to pursue it, and I'm not mad. I mean, being an Eagle Scout now doesn't really mean anything. You
Yeah.
put that on a resume. Back in the day, it used to mean something.
Nowadays,
no.
just
Yeah.
could mean anything.
Yeah. Now it means that you hung out with like all your girlfriends in a tent in the woods and probably stole liquor.
Never made sense to me why they couldn't just keep them separate, but have like swap like days where like they both did stuff from either group. Like,
Yeah.
If the guys want to go and learn a bunch of what do they do in Girl Scouts? Knitting. Do they
Cookies?
bake? Do they actually bake the cookies? Plus, remember,
No, they don't bake the
Remember,
cookies.
all
They
that money
sell
they
them.
make is just free labor.
Yeah.
That's just Girl Scouts working for free.
Yep.
It's
They
literally
yearn
just
for the mines. They
Yeah.
yearn for the cookie
The
sales.
bakery.
It's like
The
all
women
those-
yearn for the kitchen.
all those girls would have been much better off baking those cookies at home and then selling them like a lemonade stand.
Yeah.
It is
And
kind
then they
of
would've kept the
weird that
money.
they would send all of these little girls door to door to strangers' homes.
Well, a parent is usually behind them.
Usually.
Somebody said the
but
Soy Scouts.
Yes.
That's real.
There you go.
That's what it is now.
Redacted.
Yep.
Someone said bro,
Bro.
but their name is redacted. I don't know if it was
You got to say it the right way. Bro.
bro.
Why do you do this,
Why you
bro?
swatting
Why
me,
y'all do
bro?
Joe Schmo 32 Electric Boogaloo said, "You're probably past this point, but I didn't find myself rooting for anyone in this film. It
Yeah.
ended, and the audience was silent and just shuffled out.
I
You didn't see anyone crying on their knees,
Okay,
sobbing their eyes out?
That actually reminds me of a point that I do want to make, and I'm glad that they pointed this out because I wanted to mention this during the movie. First of all, I did find myself rooting for Shuri, but however, there were scenes in that movie where Riri Williams gets her Iron Man suit where you're clearly supposed to cheer and nobody cheers.
Yep.
Like where she's like she takes off in the Iron Man suit and it's the first time the music swells and everyone was silent because
Yep.
nobody cares about this character. You can't just introduce a character, say she's the bestest character ever, oh my god, and then expect people to feel any type of emotional connection with them. They're too busy crying over the Marvel characters they've seen for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
If that's actually that's even better point. Like if you can't even get an emotional connection out of people who are crying at Marvel movies, you effed up, my friends. Let's hold off on the rest. and
Yeah,
then we
there are a
will-
lot here.
We will move on. All right, guys. So, believe it or not, the world is full of Hollywood is full of liberal politics, and they hate these darn conservatives, as proven
I
by
mean,
this.
this story is even more puzzling than that, which we already know. There's this Paramount Plus show that I doubt a lot of you have watched, but it's called The Good Fight, and it's a spin-off of The Good Wife.
Yes.
They have decided to end their show in their finale using a parody character of Milo Yiannopoulos, framing the real Ron DeSantis.
Not a fake Ron DeSantis, the actual Ron DeSantis.
Framing him for SA. I'll just say that.
It'd be funny if they were like it's a Roger DeSantis.
Yeah.
like what do you mean? It's not the same person. But they mentioned Roger Stone in the clip.
Yeah.
Yeah, they make weird decisions with what to keep accurate to the real world and what to change. So in the show, they have this alternative version of Google called Chum Hum.
I love
and they
fake-
own a fake version of Twitter.
I love fake Hollywood social medias. My
Chum
favorite,
Hum.
Fetch and Retrieve is one of my favorites. There's like I should make a list of it. Like I that's one of those things that I noticed. The greatest invention ever was the day the DVD player was invented because the resolution is so high that you can pause things. Like it used to be a thing when you opened when you watched a scene in a movie, right? Or and they're like reading a page of the FBI agents reading a file. It would just say like a bunch of bullshit on the file. It wouldn't actually say anything that matters. Now because people can pause that crap.
Yep.
There's a guy who has to be backstage like, oh my God, I have to write an entire fake dossier for this person because Brett will autistically pause it
Yep.
and read it to make sure that it's accurate to the character. One of my favorite things to do is to go back through old episodes of the X-Files and pause
yep.
document scenes and then none of it makes any sense. It's
Yeah.
awesome. It's
Yep.
incredible.
X-Files is such a good show.
Oh,
such
incredible.
a good show.
So this character who is a parody of Milo Yiannopoulos is named Felix Staples, and he's been in the show since it started in 2017. He's described as an intellectual gadfly, an articulate, overeducated trickster who regards politics as a mischievous game. He loves causing trouble and sowing discord among his enemies. So he has a longtime rivalry with this attorney, Diane Lockhart, and he goes to her legal team for help in going forward with a legal proceeding against Ron DeSantis for forcible SA while he was an intern, for his team. And he says this happened at CPAC. Now, it's quite obvious, aside from him being American rather than British, it's quite obvious that it's based on Milo because he is just so, flamboyant and he is an open conservative.
Well, not just
and
that.
he says
And they mention him being.
He says that he is a former sodomite and that he is 267 days sodomy free.
Based.
Do we play the clip? Do we dare try and play the clip?
I think we should because it'll show what this finale was actually about.
If you were watching this stream in the nether time period when things are no longer live and this clip may be missing, I may have to cut it later in case of copyright, but we'll try to watch it here from the Twitter link. I'm arguing about whether it's true or not.
Whether it's legit. Yeah. But we're supposed to know from the way Felix Staples behaves in previous seasons that he is just lying and trying to, make it politically advantageous for him.
The first thing I thought of is that, look, whether people want to admit or not, and this is not a political show, you can cross that one off the list when I make that point, is that they are infinitely better than the right at introducing these types of things into their standard media. Infinitely better. This is actually one of the more ham-fisted attempts, I would argue. And what's funny here is what it does is it draws, it brings DeSantis and Donald Trump into conflict, because they mention that in the later on when they're talking about being at CPAC, and I think they want to bring it into the spotlight. So
they're trying to be topical, as they always have.
Yes,
but what I found interesting about this was that they chose to keep Milo Yiannopoulos a parody of fiction, but then name drop Ron DeSantis that blatantly. And then also they're kind of making someone brought that up, actually. They thought it would be like questionable legally to do this.
It's also
however, the show is framing it as Ron DeSantis being wrongfully accused. Yeah. So they're not actually implying anything happened in real life.
Also, it's strangely anti-Me Too.
Yeah.
It is making a joke out of the idea that someone we dislike would be SA'd, right?
Or he's lying.
Or that he,
I thought people didn't lie. Why would anyone lie about...
Believing all victims is no longer the standard. Yeah. Or maybe you don't have to believe the victims if they're people that you're politically biased against. That was an interesting touch. I want to read out Milo's response from Telegram because it made me laugh. My friends are all responding to this with, "You know what you have to do," but there's just no way I could keep it together pretending I'd been molested by that Tallahassee trollop in mom jeans. Is it true what they say about the governor? A little fruttato at the weekends is what I heard. He certainly does put on weight like a woman.
Oh, but there's more.
There's more.
We're gonna give you guys the live scoop.
Tell us.
And Milo, this is good material. He's a buddy of mine. This guy always astounds me with what he can conjure up. So next we've got wait. Is that why he's surrounded by so many of those awful gay Republican nerds? He is definitely a bottom. You can just trust me on that. Then I don't know how much of this I'm going to read because he's made like 14 new Telegram posts. Says, without getting into any icky details, the bottom psychology, a yearning to be humiliated and dominated, explains his willingness to bend the knee and give up his integrity and agency for a handful of shekels. It's the same self-harming tendency at work in each, the same sick pleasure in subjugation. That's why Ron DeSantis can't be president. He carries a second identity with him that gets off on being someone's B word. He craves subjugation. It's an addiction, and it will always take priority over any promises he may have made the American people. And then he continues with the hypothetical of what it would be like if he were a top. Says America doesn't need yet another gay president. And then ballooning into a fat slob early in middle age is a white gay archetype too. So that's where we'll keep that. It's probably
so
no comment
continue. On the show or Felix Staples, I see.
Yes. Apparently not. So but they do make the point here. This is that he makes the claim in the show because that character wants against Ron DeSantis because he wants Trump to be president. And this is what I'm saying. Like they have such an advantage. You can discount pop culture all you want if you're watching this show. I don't think that's your opinion of it, but the right has discounted popular culture, movies, television, and the importance of the entertainment industry to their own detriment for far too long. There is someone who watched this and did not take away anything good from this, and now what they're going to think of is they're going to think of Ron DeSantis in this context. They're going to think of Donald Trump in this context. It's got nothing to do
even though it's obviously fake.
Yeah, even though it's obviously fake, they win the PR battle every time because they've insulated themselves with all the platforms, all the power, everything they need to be able to paint you in whichever direction they want, even on a story as ridiculous as this, on a show that no one will watch because it's on Paramount Plus, and I'm probably the only one in the world.
The first and only Paramount Plus original.
I'm the only Paramount Plus user on the planet, so no one's going to watch it. But this is why this stuff keeps happening, because they don't understand that we don't need one Daily Wire making these making their own content. You need 10 Daily Wires making making their content. But even then, when Daily Wire talks about how they're going to start making apolitical content, it's like, yes, but that's because we understand that politically driven content is cringy when it tries to enter the public space. It's cringy when they endorse other candidates. It's cringy when they get political with their statements on Roe v. Wade. It's cringy when they get political with their statements in movies. But unfortunately, it works.
Yeah. Well, that's why you have to. You can't really ham fist these things ever, right? When Christians and I'm a Christian myself. When they try to make Christian movies, a lot of the time really falls flat. Because if you're trying to force in a message and you're removing the ability of people to interpret the art of the medium, you're really removing the ability for that to be properly appreciated and to even have the right meaning taken or extrapolated from it.
And they've done that. Well, we were talking off air before about like The Boys and the fact that the creator of The Boys, Eric Kripke, says that you don't get to interpret it your own way. You don't get to like Homelander because Homelander is supposed to be a bad guy because he's a Donald Trump allegory.
But really, like, if people are misinterpreting the character you created, shouldn't that say you failed in some way to communicate what they were about?
No, if you're an artist, I think the idea is that you created something, and it's kind of like what you were talking about earlier. Like when you post something on social media, you post it out to the world, and you have to learn to not share. And when you create a piece of art, you go through, you make that art, you create it, you post it, or you have it seen, and you leave it up to the audience to take away from that what they will. If you go into it, like you said, with the Christian films, where there's a message that needs to be gathered from it, that will always ring as a little bit hollow and false to people because of the ham-fisted nature of it. And what's happened is Hollywood has become their own version of that shoehorned religious media machine, except for it's religious.
It's like progressivism as a religion instead. And I've got a little bit of expertise in this because I used to do like a Patrick Bateman bit on TikTok, which is part of like what I had gone viral for. But I would get all these comments that were saying, "You missed the whole point of the movie. You're not supposed to identify with the bad guy." It's like, you missed the whole point of art. You're supposed to be able to extrapolate things from it.
The whole point of your TikTok.
Yeah. And then even past that, it's like, doesn't it tell you something if you've got generations of young men in particular who resonate with characters like Ryan Gosling and Drive, who resonate with Patrick Bateman, who resonate with even characters in The Boys? Doesn't it tell you that maybe there is like this yearning for some of these characters' elements, and you're not really making up for that by just saying, no, you've misunderstood it. You're not answering the question. You're just telling people they're arriving at the wrong answers. And that's no way of solving any of the issues that we have in today's cultural climate.
Nor is it an honest pursuit of art.
Yeah, not at all.
It means that they went into it with a closed-minded perspective that kind of separates itself from what actual art should be when it's done correctly.
Do you think if men were portrayed in more honest heroic roles, then there wouldn't be so much valorization of anti-heroes and villains that way?
Yeah, 100%, because then you've got like that's what you had in the 80s. You had archetypal like hero characters.
When Stallone or Schwarzenegger like knocked the door down, put the woman over their shoulder and just walk out with her because like she won't stop talking, just grab her and leave. Yeah. Like that is an archetype. And listen, we talk about how now the reason why when you see that in movies it does so well is because people aren't used to seeing it anymore. Yep. They're used to seeing the 5-foot tall chick beat up a guy twice her size and save the day in a way that doesn't actually land with human beings or the human experience. No guy wants to. The guy may identify with that as a character, and if it's done well, like they'll still love to watch Lara Croft Tomb Raider the movie or any type of female character when it's done well.
Or a Shuri.
Yeah, or Shuri. Like
perfect
when
example.
It's done well, but that doesn't react to our core the way that archetypal heroes actually do.
And it was just so much better when it didn't have to be ham-fisted with like this progressive nature in it. Like people say all the time, like, we need these strong female leads. To get back to like the Schwarzenegger stuff, like Sarah Connor. That was like in the 80s. You've got this strong female
Brett
lead.
is about to pull out the list.
Yeah, let's go.
Just TV shows, that go back to the 80s. This is like a list of like 30 shows. So whenever they tell you that that's not a thing, they're lying. They're not just lying. They're lying blatantly to your face. The funny part is like what I'm more annoyed with now is like they can never. It has to subvert your expectations in some way.
It's not even subverting your expectations.
No,
it's like like I don't know, preempting what your expectations are, and it's not honest
in the show
to what your expexptations were.
In the show Castle, Nathan Fillion plays a writer, and the cop is a woman. Of course, right? Because and it works in that show, but it's because she's even though she's like completely infallible as a cop and never gets anything wrong, she's fairly vulnerable and kind of a mess in her personal life at times. But in general, they always have to like whatever the traditional role would be for that character will get swapped around to make the guy the other character, the girl the other character. And I have a little bit more leeway. At least I used to give them a little bit more leeway in this department because I would believe that a genuinely curious or interested writer back in the day would have just looked at the dichotomy and thought, that's interesting. What if the girl did this character? What if the guy did this character?
Yeah.
I don't have that same level of patience anymore to believe that it's not some type of weird social engineering.
Yeah.
I do believe that in the early days that it was done in a way that's like, well, wouldn't that be interesting if the girl was the aggressor or the masculine one and the guy wasn't? But I don't have that. I don't give them that same benefit of the doubt.
And now it's totally backfired because all of the female leads are hateable. They're just totally insufferable now because they understand like, oh, this is like totally a cast for the purpose, the sole purpose of diversity. There's no curiosity.
Like,
there's no artistic.
and they're not
even if they are likable and they have virtues and redeeming qualities, they've already poisoned audiences against them.
So they're starting from 10 steps back.
There were already so many people worried about Wakanda Forever being like a girl boss movie where Chadwick Boseman essentially gets overshadowed by the new Black Panther. And then with Quantumania, it's like, of course, Ant-Man is going to be overshadowed by this younger female character who is going to make him look like a blundering idiot. And then in Multiverse of Madness, we have Doctor Strange, again, like overshadowed in his own movie, not only by his younger female sidekick, but also by the female villain.
Yep. Or Thor.
Yeah.
I mean, the most blatant example.
Of course. Like Thor being overshadowed by Jane Foster. Like, it's a recurring theme, and you're poisoning audiences against female leads by just not like allowing men to have their own moments.
What I found is that the shows that used to do it back in the day, they did it, and maybe they were still trying to subvert the expectations of people by making the female character strong and independent, but they didn't do it at the expense of the male character.
It wasn't a spiteful thing.
When I watched, I don't know if any of you saw the show Dollhouse, which was a Joss Whedon show from like 2009, and the character of Echo, played by Eliza Dushku, has a very, very interesting character arc, and all of her story does not stop the male characters from being their own individual character. In Chuck, Chuck is actually kind of a bumbling idiot in the show, but people like him because he's got a good heart. But the Sarah Walker character who plays the CIA agent isn't unlikable and treats him with a lot of respect. And there's a lot of back and forth there. There's 1,000 examples of it done right, and it's like they've never learned any of these lessons from any of these shows. That's the way it is. So or Fringe with Olivia Dunham. In that character, her character, the Anna Torv character, is the FBI agent, and Joshua Jackson's character is a criminal turned FBI consultant type person who helps them on those cases. They end up falling in love. That's its whole thing. But he is shown as being more than capable in his own right and has a very well-developed story arc, even though she's the lead of the show. Like, you can do it. You guys can do it. I promise you. You didn't forget to do it. You're just weird ideological losers.
You just became less human.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So let's go to Super Chats.
Nate Tripp said, just want to give props to y'all. Love what you're doing here. Proud to be able to support. Well, thank you.
Thank you,
Nate.
a lot. And thank you for tuning in. I love the Friday episodes because it feels like people are like ready for the weekend.
Yeah. Feels like a little hangout.
It's very cozy.
Tacty Platty said, reminder, big avocado is causing climate change.
It is. It's
so
it's
true.
going to be the downfall. There's also a really interesting, speaking of the show, Castle, there's a really funny scene where this guy, he makes this whole story up about a guy who gets taken up by Big Bulb, the filament industrial complex, out to get him because they're switching from regular light bulbs to compact fluorescents, and it's a big conspiracy.
Joseph said, kids are disillusioned and lack hope or God, in my opinion.
Can I ask you guys a question then?
Yeah.
As I'm the only one here who's not religious in his own right, what advice from that perspective, do you think you could give advice to people that aren't, in a way, that beyond finding religion, that you think that would help them?
You have to derive a sense of purpose, right? Because obviously with a religious perspective, you always have this understanding of innate value, because you have a heavenly Father who has created you, knows you as an individual, and wants only for you to succeed and to return to him, which is obviously like the greatest idea of value, even when you don't see it in yourself. But I would encourage people to pursue different things, either a career path or self-betterment or relationships with other people that allow them to see that same value. You need something where even on your worst day, there is something in your life that you have worked for, or somebody in your life who sees that value in you, to remind you that it does exist even when that's not very clear to you.
Is that something that somebody can get through something that they're passionate about, hobbies, anything like that? I mean, work, I think, is like for me, when I after getting sober, the thing that tethered me back to the world was skating. Was getting reintroduced to. I mean, I never stopped, but obviously I had a period of time where I was doing it far less because I was struggling so much. And reintroducing myself to doing it every day became part of not a ritual, but it was my daily routine.
It's discipline.
Right? So you have to have that. And I think a lot of people, I don't think there's necessarily bad versions of it, but people fall into hobbies or habits that don't necessarily benefit them all the time. Like, you have to limit that. Like, if you are passionate about games or video games, you can't do it 12 hours a day.
Yep.
You have to find other things as well.
Balance is huge.
Yeah. So it's just interesting to me because me and Mary go back and forth sometimes about this stuff, because I have to think about it, because as much as I am not religious, I see the social utility in all the people that I know that are, who seem to find so much more in life.
Well, it's like in scripture, it says, and I hear lots of people, like in Utah, it's a very, very religious place, obviously. A lot of people who have left the church even say, like, I'm not religious, but I would want to raise my kids in a church because I think it'd be good for them. And it's like, well, there's a verse about that in Matthew. It says, beware false prophets. But the next verse, which a lot of people forget to quote, says, but you shall know them by their fruits. And it's like, well, what is the fruit of this in most cases? And certainly there are religious people who mistreat people, and often you get these traumatic experiences within a church, and that totally happens. It's the fault of individuals who are flawed. But the principles, the gospel in and of itself is a good fruit. It bears a good fruit. And so that is something that's consistently kind of impressed to me. As far as something secular, I'm a huge proponent of exercise. I think that is something like a hobby where you are improving yourself. And the improvement is not ever immediate. And there are many days where you go through like body dysmorphia, especially the more you do it, because you don't see the changes in your physique unless you're taking photos. But when you track that progress, like the last year, I plateaued on my bench press for 6 months. I had not moved it. My 1 rep max was at 245 in December, and it was at 245 up until August. And I was like, I have not been moving this. But then I got a 1 year look back on Snapchat. I got one of these flashbacks. And a year ago at that time, I had just barely hit like 200 pounds.
Yeah.
And looking today, I had just beat this plateau, and I'm up to like 255 now. When you look at time, not so much in these like individual moments, which we're prone to do with politics and with social media and with culture, the way things are on TikTok. Everything's so immediate. Everything feels like it's happening all the time, always. And you look at things on this grander scale, the change over time. You start to not obsess as much over those losses at the moment. And so, just document your life. Try to focus on that trajectory instead of your immediate ups and downs, like the stock market.
I got that when I came out here because like I basically got hired out here because Tim was caught on to like I was posting for 2.5 years. I posted a new skating edit every single day.
Yeah.
Going out and that requires going out and filming something new every single day. And it became more about the physical activity than it became about the sport stuff. I mean the documenting it and the recording it's just kind of a habit. You've been doing it for years. That's just what it is. But it became more about like I used to enjoy the walk. Like the walk around more than the actual skating because it felt like I was free from whatever the restraints are with work, whatever is going on that way. And I feel like a lot of people like miss out on that if they're not getting enough physical activity in their life.
I think order is important. Just having a discipline or like having, like you said, a thing that you're doing every day. For me, that is the gym, right? And people should practice not having that. You need to be able to look at things stoically. So like if everything is being stripped from you, if you can't make it out to skate, that's not something where you're like, what am I going to do with my day? I feel miserable. Because there are definitely days where I'm like, I'm not going to the gym today. It's a rest day. Like rest days become awful. It's a terrible thing, which sounds goofy if you're not really used to it. But that's how every lifter is. They start out and they're like, wow, it's really tough to go to the gym. Like I need to drag myself out there. But eventually the problem becomes taking days off because it becomes a big crutch. Yeah.
Mine was like I posted an edit every day for over 2.5 years. So I couldn't stop at that point.
Exactly.
Because like I'd sitting around like, I'm not going to skate in like an hour later. I'm like, nope.
Anything like that for you, Mary?
There's a lot of talk about, the social utility of religion and the virtue in religion and the fruits of it. And I've become admittedly kind of resentful of that, especially the proliferation of that conversation from, Jordan Peterson acolytes. Yeah. There's a lot of, I think, an excessive focus on what religion can do for you and your optimization habits. Like the talk about, health optimization and diet optimization and, innovating your life and using technologies to to better yourself. It's like maybe stop thinking about trying to, like, here's my practical advice. Stop trying to think about bettering yourself as much as thinking about like making other people's lives better. I don't know. Like obviously exercise and diet and, mental clarity, reading, education, all of that is important. But I think actually practicing charity is better. Yeah. And a higher call than like body optimization. It's like you're not transhumanist, are you?
No, like transhumanism's evil. Is actually evil.
Yeah, that's where my mind went.
Charity's rewarding too. If you are still stuck on like this narcissistic thinking, charity is rewarding. You feel good when you do charity, when you help people out. Don't do it for that reason.
Or if you don't, then just like do it anyway.
We'll do it anyway. Like I said, the relationships you have with other people, they derive some meaning, or they give meaning to you in those relationships. When you may not see it, it's like you have connections to family and friends. They really care about you. You're an important person in their lives, and you've really helped them out. People are often far kinder than they give themselves credit for.
Let's go to Super Chats again. Yesh said, guys, quit calling Mary a Fed. She's not a Fed.
She's not the Fed. We don't know who the Fed is, but we'll figure it out one day.
It would be so funny if I was, though.
I mean, could you even be a... How long does Quantico take? Could you have been... Would this have been your first assignment out of Quantico? You're pretty young.
I mean, you don't know how young I am, though.
It could be a fake ID. That's true. That's true.
Wait, how old are you?
22.
Okay. You look younger than that, but... No.
Well, that's good, I guess.
So you guys are grooming
10 years
me.
down the
You guys are grooming me, basically.
It's how they like this. Like she's gonna work for Project Veritas if she didn't end up here.
I literally said that, and I was serious. Like I was midway through my application.
I still want to know how they do. Like,
Veritas.
it'd be really funny if somebody made like a fake video where it's like this is a video of a project of a girl getting info, and she's just got a big GoPro on her head. She's wearing like a GoPro helmet while talking to like some journalist guy. She's like,
oh, this is just like my fashion choice.
Yeah. Oh, I love this.
Thinking avant-garde.
I love this helmet.
Yeah.
Wires are all the rage.
This helmet matches my dress. Yeah.
Nate Tripp said Black Panther a little light on murder for Mary. Haha.
Mary was like,
it's not murder though. It's literally self-defense.
Well, and also that is still kind of true. Like they didn't kill anybody. Nobody dies.
And Ramonda was sticking her nose in the situation where it didn't belong.
True.
Dragon's Talon 1001 said, wonder if Brett is going to duct tape Mary to her chair when they go to see Avatar Way of Water. If anything, it's going to be the other way around because so far Brett is refusing.
I have no interest in it.
I don't have interest in it either. I'm just saying, like, people are going to watch it. It's going to be a big deal.
Avatar is a psyop. Nobody actually likes Avatar.
It totally is, but like, we're going to get flamed again.
Yeah, people hate it when I say that, but all I'm saying is just like it's
Name
probably
5 Avatar characters.
Yeah, it's probably bots. Like we're going to show up there, it's going to be just fake people like mannequins in each of the seats.
It's just, another movie where there's a coveted mineral that ends in Eum.
Yeah. You walk in, it's like the Indiana Jones, like Fallout, the nuclear test site, and it's that theater. That's actually so true. The most highest grossing movie of all time for how long? I mean, no way.
The next one is going to be over 3 hours long. And the one we just watched was 2 hours 40 minutes.
Who's got the time for that?
That's not good. That's not good.
I am not going to read that username. They said they sell matching Mr. and Mrs. shirts on the Taco Bell merch shop. Just saying.
There you go. You guys, that's, he could get that for whoever he does marry. If it's not you. It's not you.
It's not going to be me, but good luck with that, dude. Helmsway 1 said, Kai sounds like Andrew Heaton.
Remember Andrew Heaton was out here.
I do remember that.
That was that. How long ago was that? That was
8 months ago.
Gosh, feels like
it was in late March.
Yes,
that Andrew Heaton was at the castle.
I used to watch him when I was a libertarian.
I guess you guys do kind of speak a similar way.
That's a compliment. I always thought that he had a nice voice.
Yeah.
But good looking guy too. He's cool.
Tacti Platy said, bro, I use Paramount Plus for Must Star Trek.
I mean, look, I've heard
Star Trek.
Must
Stargate.
Other than
Must Starship Troopers.
Other than the people watching Discovery to make fun of it, and the people, I guess some people like Lower Decks and the some of the other ones, but like nobody likes Picard. I don't know anyone that likes Picard. Anybody? So
I'm not invested in this.
Yeah,
who are these people on Paramount Plus? I must meet them.
Brie Louise said John Wayne as the hero of the movie who threw Maureen O'Hara over his shoulder and putting her female snark in her place was always cinematic gold.
You just like, shut up, I'm saving your life, woman.
Yeah. I yearn for the days where instead of clapping and laughing in a theater because it's like, oh, to be young, black, and gifted, and like the Black Panther movie, it's like everybody in the theater sees the woman thrown over the back. Yes!
Yeah, good job. Oh, God, shut her up.
Yeah,
you got a day to say.
That's my movie trope right there.
Dash Fortune said, really enjoying new co-host Kai. As Kai is a fellow dork, which anime character do you relate to the most and why?
Fellow dork. But I'm literally gone. I'm gone from Hunter x Hunter because I'm chipper and jovial. I'm like such a happy little chipper guy. So I'm definitely gone for sure.
Okay. Potatoes for Seamus said, I want to see a rom-com titled I Now Pronounce You Brett and Mary, starring Olivia Wilde and Ezra Miller. This sounds like a nightmare.
What?
That's why he wants to see it.
No.
I hate this.
No.
Tacos from Mary said, me and Brett are one day sodomy free.
Well,
moving on. Halls and the kids said, Mary, check Slack, please. I will once the show is over.
We're gonna move on, guys. All right, so we've got a rumor here. Ooh. A very
from our favorite verified news website, poptopic.com. They never lie. They always report the absolute proven facts. So this is it. People have found out that Elliot Page is a former client of Harley Pasternak, who was recently exposed by Kanye for threatening to drug him and put him back in zombie land.
And is a Canadian.
We've covered this before. He's Canadian. That's making him extra sussy in our eyes. So we talked about the fact that Kanye posted these screenshots of a text conversation where Harley Pasternak, a celebrity nutritionist / personal trainer, was texting him about how he's going to have him institutionalized again and drugged out of his mind back into zombie land so that playdates with the kids just won't be the same.
Like, there's no world in which any personal trainer speaks like that to you where it's not suspicious.
Yeah.
Right?
That's not a personal trainer. That's the only conclusion you can come to. I'm sorry, like a personal trainer does not text you something like that. That sounds more like a handler.
Yep.
Imagine like you have like I'm trying to think of something that would be like the regular like rich people, like I'm not rich so I can't afford a personal trainer, but like the person who does your taxes doesn't call you and is like, by the way, I finished your W-2, all your forms, and by the way, if you don't get this done, you're going to be drugged out of your mind and your kids are going to be taken from you. That's not real.
Right, exactly, but it is real.
Yeah. But I'm saying to real people, that's not a thing. So this is very clearly more than what they say it is.
And I'm just so sick of people thinking that they can score like these points, like saying these rehearsed NPC lines. Whoa, Kanye West needs to take his meds. That guy's crazy. It's like,
you're
look
literally
at
on the establishment side.
Yes, look at reality.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying Kanye West is crazy? Sure, he says some zany things. He's not the most eloquent, but like, imagine you are a father and your personal trainer who has all of these ties to all of these different Hollywood celebrities. That's the other thing. So the handler theory is probably a good one. You get one of these Hollywood guys that Kanye knows, and they're like, hey, you know, I know you've been trying to get into fitness. Let me put you in touch with my trainer. Yeah. And also to, you know, kind of shed some doubt on the trainer credentials. You're bringing this up. Did we mention who else the trainer is involved with?
Well, he has a very long client list that was suspiciously deleted from his Wikipedia page when these screenshots came out.
Details, yep.
But it included Elliot Page, formerly known as Ellen Page. And the rumor has it that Kanye's personal trainer, No More, pressured Elliot Page into transitioning to male.
Yeah.
Meaning all of the medical procedures and cosmetic procedures involved in that process, including getting implants for fake abs.
Yep. That blew my mind when I
and
found
double
out that
mastectomy and hormone therapy, the works. People have rumored that Harley Pasternak has nefarious intentions with his clients and is kind of Frankensteining them into his visions.
So who is he then that this is a thing? Like what does he gain from this?
I don't know. Maybe he's just a psychopath.
He's just a rich
also, just like rumors aside, it's evident that Elliot Page is malnourished and very underweight.
Yeah. Like, he's not doing his job.
What personal nutritionist would allow such a thing to happen?
Exactly. Or even write off on like ab implants. Like what personal trainer is like, I know I'm your trainer. I'm literally like here to get you abs.
It's my job to get you abs.
Yeah. And what I mean by get you abs is implant silicone into your stomach.
I can literally get you to the doctor that can get you the abs.
So yeah, no, I don't know about y'all, but the story about you know, Kanye obviously is on tour suffering from exhaustion, and his trainer is now refers him to a doctor. You've got all these referrals.
Yeah.
I am so suspicious of any referral that comes out of like Hollywood, right? Because these people know everybody. It's like you are always in Hollywood, you know, in the music industry, you are one circle removed from Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah.
Always. So I don't trust these referrals ever. But he gets referred to a doctor. And then the information about, you know, Kanye having bipolar disorder leaks. I am so suspicious of that.
Harley Pasternak probably leaked
well,
that
that's what he
information
said.
to the public.
That's what Kanye said. He's like I've got this this Jewish trainer who leaked the information about me like going to the doctor and getting misdiagnosed with BPD. He was the guy that leaked that. So Kanye says that. Sounds insane to everybody. But you see like these text messages. You're right. Nobody in their right mind who's a trainer says these kind of things.
That's you're the employee. He doesn't talk to him like he's an employee. He talks to him like he's in charge of him. And I'm saying, even if you disagree, and like, look, I disagree with a lot of the language in which Kanye delivered, because I think that it could, even the most nuanced message is liable to be misinterpreted. So when you don't even make an attempt to be more eloquent in your verbiage, there's a problem there that's going to, and you're making it easier for the people that are trying to mess with you.
Oh yeah.
Trump does the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't do himself any favors in the way he talks.
Opens up lines
We
of
love
attack.
him. We love him for it, but it also doesn't do him any favors. But for something like this, at the very least, if the average person was getting this information, which they're not, the average person isn't going to read this part of it because this is too suspicious. No person in their right mind reads a trainer talking to a person that pays them an obscene amount of money, talking to them like that, and thinks that something isn't going on. But we're also part of a culture now which demonizes the idea that you think at all about anything outside of what you're told, because then you don't want to be accused of being a conspiracy theorist or whatever. And then, you know, like we know that term was literally created to make you afraid of being called that, because then you're being labeled a certain way.
Yeah, and it's not such a wild stretch of the imagination that he would be psychologically manipulative to other clients of his who are in a mentally vulnerable state.
Yeah.
So one tweet said, Paige has always been androgynous, but it wasn't until recently that they started talking about transitioning. It wasn't until Paige was 27 years old that they even came out as a lesbian. Then in 2020, she comes out as a transgender male only a year after Harley Pasternak was referred to her as Elliot Page's personal trainer for Netflix's The Umbrella Academy. And you can see in her role in The Umbrella Academy, she looks extremely thin, like worryingly thin.
Yeah.
So then I do have to ask the question, if we're going to go off the deep end as to like what the hell he Pasternak is supposed to be doing, what does he gain? Is he like secretly like the top level executive? Like I mentioned the show Dollhouse earlier. In the show Dollhouse, Echo's handler is a guy named Boyd, and you find out later that Boyd was actually the one manipulating her the whole time and was in charge of the entire company. Like, is he literally just the head of Bohemian Grove and like...
Is it just as shady as we like venture to think it is?
Like he actually is the one who owns Epstein's Island, and that's just like I need to know what his motivation is outside of just, is he just controlling people for the sake of controlling people? Because there's a lot of ways
he
you
has
can do that.
a history working in the military and experimentation with drugs on soldiers
And stuff like with like he was like connected to MK Ultra or something like that, right?
And like, I think all it takes is like a call where it's like, hey, you know, Kanye is getting kind of crazy, because this was back like before 2020 when he, or around 2020 when he gets the BPD diagnosis, and it's like he's getting a little bit erratic. How about you take him to a doctor, and we now have an excuse to write off anything he says. Because before that diagnosis, I don't know if you guys remember, there was like nothing. Nobody was saying Kanye is like off his meds. Well, nobody said that before the diagnosis. He was just considered
an emotional dude, like with the Taylor Swift stuff and
just eccentric.
Well, he was literally just drunk there.
Yes.
he was just drunk during the VMAs. But he'd always been seen as like an eccentric guy, but nobody could ever disqualify what he said on the basis of he's not taking medication. But what do we know about this medication as well? It's like, you are totally throwing off hormonal regulation. That makes people nuts. Yeah. People go crazy when their hormones are totally off balance.
It's like birth control.
Yeah. And you're prescribing not just like a sugar pill. Yeah. You're giving them actual like mood altering medication that is messing with them, and they shouldn't have been taking it.
And it's not like this is outside the realm of possibility. In Hollywood, look what happened to Britney Spears.
Yeah.
And being put on a bunch of meds that eventually made her that kind of distort your reality.
Yeah.
You don't realize it's happening until it's too late.
And I think it's literally just like either to shut people up. As far as the Page stuff, I think that is honestly just probably something he believes, and he's now pushing that social agenda, because we know these things can be largely socialized, especially when you give people suggestions. Oh, you know, you're not really sure how to feel about your gender identity. Well, I think the solution for that is a sex change. Like, if you plant those ideas in people's heads, especially from a young age, that's what's so worrying.
It doesn't necessarily have a nefarious end goal. It's just a dude who's kind of evil.
Yep, it's a social
that's connected to people that happen to be part of the public eye. So when something like this happens, it's newsworthy.
Yep.
Sort of a bureaucratic middle manager who just falls into an excessive amount of power.
And I'm sure it gives him press
often.
too. I'm sure it gives him press.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I was Elliot Page's trainer, actually. And I was also with, well, you won't mention Kanye now, but.
And there were so many others. I mean, all the A-listers, basically.
And if he's got a connection to MK Ultra, maybe he just likes messing with people, and he likes knowing that he was able to get Elliot Page to do that. Like, there's a certain type of sociopath that would just enjoy watching
obviously,
you change who you are because they suggested it to
obviously, like, none of this is confirmed, and these are just rumors that people are flying around. But, like, it's not that crazy of a guess.
Stranger things have happened.
That post of how Kanye was spoken to by a dude who's supposed to be an employee of his should be an eye-opening. At the very least, should make you want to ask questions as to why. Reverse those roles. Whatever you do for a living, imagine you worked freelance in some job, and then imagine yourself talking to your boss that way, and ask if that seems right to you.
Like, who is on whose payroll?
Not just your boss either. It's like the richest black man in American history, one of the most famous musicians of all time.
And you felt comfortable talking to him like that.
Not only that, but like threatening him. You have to have some authority to even be comfortable saying that.
That's terrifying. And it's terrifying to see how much people will put up with just because they're told nothing to see here.
Yeah.
That's literally where we're at right now. And I think part of that is actually, that's the internet's fault, that there's so much information out there that people are just like, look, I don't have 9 hours to go do a deep dive into Harvey Pasternak? Harley Pasternak. And
but we do.
Like,
so we're crazy.
We don't have, like, the average person, but this goes to politics, it goes to culture. Like, you don't have the time to do 9 hours of research into various things. So you're just like, look, maybe there's something here, maybe there isn't. Your brain just kind of shuts off and you accept it for what it is, because it's too complex to have to sit and think about when you've got dinner to make, when you've got work to finish, when you've got kids at home. So stuff like this flies under the radar, and people forget that, no, that's not how a personal trainer talks to somebody they work for. Where there's smoke, there's fire. It's at least worth considering that something far more nefarious is going on. But we're kind of slaves to algorithms now, and people just kind of say, oh, well, whatever. Yeah.
Yep.
So, all right, let's shall we move on?
Should we stop for super chats?
Let's wait on the super chats.
All right.
Let's move on. Doja Cat, ladies and gentlemen. Remember Doja Cat? She shaved her head on live on Instagram.
And also bleached her eyebrows, or maybe she shaved them off.
She just shaved them off.
Yes.
I don't know. I don't know why anybody does.
Julia Fox bleaches them. She just goes full hog and just takes them off.
So
always this one-upsmanship, right?
She's basically a whiner on Twitter.
She's a notorious Twitter fingers celebrity who is obsessed with posting. Like, I really don't like this trend of mainstream celebrities being chronically online. Doja Cat is one of them. So yesterday, for context, she is like obsessed with changing her screen name on Twitter to different things because she thinks it's like the funniest thing in the world.
And that's an ADHD trait.
Yeah.
And also like posting voice notes of her just like making incoherent noises and groaning.
She's quirky. She posts one picture. She posts one picture on Instagram or Twitter, and it's like, oh, look at how cute I am here. But I'm also quirky. But I did a funny face.
Exactly.
I hate it.
That's how her TikTok is too. It's just like, you're not relatable. Please stop. So yesterday, her screen name was Christmas. And today, her screen name is Fart. So yesterday, she thought that she would be stuck with the screen name Christmas forever because of Twitter's new policies about verified users changing their names and impersonation. So if you're suspected to be impersonating anybody or misusing your blue check, that is meant to verify your identity, you could get permabanned under Elon Musk's new Twitter reign. So she tweeted out, I don't want to be Christmas forever, Elon Musk. Please help. I've made a mistake.
I love that she's like, look, I'm a slave to my phone. Like, literally, I'll do anything. Please help me. Yeah.
She also said, why can't I change my name on here? How do I change it? Also, F you, Elon.
That's super, bipolar sounding.
Like, I deserve, I'm entitled to your help, but also F you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like maybe she was just doing a bit the whole time, and she knew that she was capable of changing her name, but who knows? And then Elon Musk assessed the situation and did end up helping her change it. But her tweets are just so schizophrenic. I'm kind of worried for her.
Yeah.
She actually deleted a lot of them from yesterday, but a couple of them, she actually posted a voice note that we listened to that was kind of insightful. She said that these people on Twitter, including herself, maybe she's not willing to admit that, but they're obsessed with the platform and their ability to just clown people and also get into extremely vacuous arguments.
They're really addicted to it too. It's really funny watching them, like when Elon Musk took over, and they've spent the last like decade demonizing every other social media platform as alt-right. As if you go to any other social media platform, you're awful. But now that it's not the platform that it used to be for them, they have no idea what to do because like they don't want to leave, and they're addicted to the drama of the platform. It's one of the reasons I will never use it anymore. I deleted my Twitter a long time ago. It's a time suck. And it's the meme. It's the picture. It's like nobody. It's like the guy who's like on his deathbed. He says, "I wish I would have spent more time arguing with people on the internet." Nobody.
Exactly.
Like that's not going to be a thing. But I think a lot of these people probably are going to be like that. They're going to think about that one quote tweet that they never got around to responding to.
I didn't have the last word in that Twitter argument. No.
It's like a shower thought where you're like, oh, I wish I would have said that, but it's on the deathbed.
They've got like a graph or like a big like thing in their room that lists all the arguments they're in, so they don't forget which one
making a tally.
They have to make it back to.
4 p.m. Need to respond to Big Man 15.
Pretty hypocritical though that Doja Cat is out here trying to call out the masses, the unwashed masses on Twitter for treating it like, you know, this cheapened way of communication when she does the exact same thing and lets her following of like 5 million people control her mood during the day. Like her bio on Twitter is "you're annoying STFU."
It's
like
why
you're mad. Like stop acting like you're not butthurt over Twitter. Though.
It's why I don't read comments ever, positive or negative,
Yeah.
because I just don't want to give it the chance to affect my the state of my emotions that day. It's just not worth it. Like, great, people say nice things about you. Great.
Yeah.
People say negative things about you, whether you want to admit it or not. A lot of times it does affect a lot of people. Like, I don't believe everyone when they tell me like it doesn't bother me. Some people I believe that maybe it doesn't bother them, but for most people I just don't believe it. My logic is always like, you're not that special, meaning me, like I'm not unique by having it bother me. I don't feel like that's a unique response. I feel like that would be the rule, not the exception. So I would assume that most people, if 10 people tell me somebody says vile stuff to me online and it doesn't bother me at all, I believe that maybe 1 or 2 of those people are actually like that.
Yeah.
And the other ones are just kind of it's a way to put up a good front to explain why they take the time to respond to a bunch of people being mean to them when they're better off just not giving them the time of day.
Yeah, that's how this strikes me, is Doja Cat just putting up a front that she's not bothered by, you know, all of these eyes being on her on the internet, because then she tweets like #boob.
Yeah.
And then tweets,
hilarious.
I don't care that you think I've
hilarious.
changed, and I'm going to keep having fun because I wasn't put here to make you all happy. And
If you believe that, you just wouldn't say anything.
right, exactly. I just find it embarrassing, and it calls to mind what you have been saying about like celebrity statesmanship or showmanship. Just like having some sense of dignity, like quiet dignity,
Like-
and not getting dirty with the rest of the flack on the internet.
It's not even defensible either, because it's like everybody hypes up Doja Cat. There's probably 2 people, 3 people in her replies who are like, I don't know, I don't really find you that funny anymore, because they grew up, and then she is so insecure that she has to reply to that. This is a good example. Literally on this article, one of the ones next to it is, Doja Cat takes micro fringe to the extreme with her shaved eyebrows, and it's mesmerizing. It's like, this is such BS.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
hyping up every single thing that she does is so fake, but that's not quite enough. It's not enough to be hyped up by almost everybody, by all these magazines. Those 2 people who just don't find you that funny are
Imagine
too
like,
much.
You're like scrolling through positive. You go through 37 responses. You get to one who's just like, and you're just like, not on my watch. And then you go in and you have to respond. Like, you're letting them dictate the mood of your day, and that's a problem. Like, grow up. And I feel that way when I read comment sections when people have like 900 response threads that are like, and every one is a paragraph this long, and the whole paragraph from both people arguing is like, I don't care what you think, to the other guy, and the other guy goes, well, I don't care what you think. He's like, well, I don't care what you think. I'm like, you both clearly care what the other person thinks because you took the time to respond. That's a problem.
It's a competition of who cares less.
It would be like, and I guess there's the argument to be made that for like most mainstream celebrities now, I don't believe they need to do this. If you're part of the Hollywood machine, let somebody else handle your social media. If you come from the realm of social media influencer, or you made your name through the internet, that's a little bit different because it's part of your brand. But I knew Doja Cat as a musician. I don't know Doja Cat because of her Twitter.
Yeah.
Like most of these celebrities could just let Sheila at your local social media planning company do your tweets for you, and you'd be so much happier for it. But they're addicted to the attention. They need the attention, and unfortunately you only get such a high from the positive, but the negative stuff hits you way harder, and it's a sad way to live.
Big time.
To be honest. So
Yeah.
all right.
Speaking of a sad way to live.
Well, at least a sad situation, something that happened.
Yeah.
Nikita Dragon.
This is a beauty YouTuber, like makeup. And
Believe it or not, I'm not familiar with that space.
I'm familiar because I like internet drama.
Unlike the women who are invading my action movie space and ruining it for everyone, I am not like, hey guys, can I join your beauty? No.
You don't invade the women's space of tracking the intricate details of online YouTuber drama.
I do not.
The type of thing I like.
Yes.
So this YouTuber, Nikita Dragon, who by the way is transgender, was arrested this week on a felony charge of battery on a police officer after the cops had been called because of a disturbance for a long period of time where they were walking around a pool naked. What a sight. So this person was arrested and then forced to stay as an inmate in the men's unit of a local jail in Miami-Dade.
Yep.
So now the YouTuber is asking to be transferred to a female unit, and this is actually a contentious issue outside of just this case.
Yeah, this is a big one. I mean, it shouldn't be, in my opinion. I don't think it should be.
It's like, I don't know if you have the right to request such like special treatment when you were like guilty of public indecency and assaulting a police officer.
Is the idea here that she would be transferred before sentencing, so technically she's not guilty yet, so they give them the benefit of the doubt until they've been actually convicted of a crime.
That doesn't put other female inmates in a good position, does it?
Also, the standards of prison care aren't exactly high, so it is weird that you bend the knee for something like this when technically they should all be treated the same.
Yeah.
Very, very strange.
Right.
But this is Miami-Dade is one of those places that does house based on what your preferred gender identity is, and it gets into the whole question of like, are they being authentic? Do they actually mean it? Because there's no actual way to judge that because it's completely subjective. Yes, you could make the argument that because Nikita Dragon has a whole history of Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey,
that was
thanks.
That was a weird one.
Long one.
Like if it's one person who's never seemed to show any interest in behaving differently before, suddenly makes that decision after they've been arrested, that's one thing. But in this case, it's a little bit different. I don't know, but I don't think they should be given special treatment at all.
She was released on a $5,000 bond recently. So I have a feeling that after this situation is resolved, we're going to see a YouTube video that was like, here's why I'm really the victim.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's going to be held
like, you were committing crimes in the first place that got you into this situation. So it's just the peak of influencer entitlement.
Yep. It's always, the criminality always prefaces the complaint about like, well, my prison situation wasn't very comfortable. And if trans people in particular are very worried about this, I have something to say to most trans people. This will never be an issue. You'll never have to worry about what prison you're going to if you do not commit crimes worthy of prison sentencing.
It does help if you manage to stay out of prison.
Yes, that is one way to guarantee you'll never not know where you'll end up in prison is not doing something to land you in prison.
That's consequence culture.
It's not cancel culture, it's consequence culture. And before we go, guys, I apologize in advance for making you look at this, but it's funny.
That should be the preface before anything related to Madonna at this point.
Madonna licks water out of dog bowl in embarrassing video. Well, there is no other video for Madonna in the recent years other than embarrassing videos. But yes, here is Madonna. Here's an image of her. Does that not look attractive to you?
She posted this TikTok to the song by the Stooges, I Wanna Be Your Dog.
Here we go. I'm not going to play the song because we'll get copyright strike for that.
This is
That's awful.
terrifying.
This is right
This
after.
is a bad trip.
This is right after like last week when she's like, if I throw this and miss, I'm gay. And then she like purposely misses. She's like, I guess I'm gay. You know what she is? She's Britney Spears with like a better photographer. Like Britney Spears has her breakdown with her
Right.
with her Galaxy S4, and Madonna has like an avant-garde.
She has like a team
She has like a it
of
looks like
videographers and photographers around
Like,
for her mental breakdowns.
this looks like something from like a hipster magazine in 2009.
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
There's definitely a Cobra Starship song playing in the background.
And this was taken by the Cobra Snake.
Yes, exactly.
64 years old, by the way.
64. And the funnier part about this
Adrenochrome is so real.
and the funny part about
And
this
Juvederm.
is 50 Cent is like, hey, grow up. Because we're in a world now where 50 Cent, you know, where the rapper is the voice of reason. 'Cause
Remember that weird video of like Kanye West, Julia Fox, Madonna, and Floyd Mayweather like hanging out awkwardly on a couch somewhere?
yeah, I think
Do you
so.
remember that
I think
weird
so.
video?
That feels like a psyop too.
Oh my gosh, stop. They're other than Julia Fox, like you're old. Like just like have some respectability there. Maybe. Grow up.
So, and they show these old pictures of Madonna, and she just go away.
This
Like,
is awful.
I feel bad to say that, but it's really creepy. Like, is there a logical explanation where you read this and I'm like, oh, well, that's what it was. She's like, look, I love licking water out of dog bowls. That's just my thing. Like, that's not a thing.
It's artistic. You don't get her.
I guess, yeah. Hey, we're falling into that same trap that all those Hollywood directors are. We're judging the art, so maybe we're the baddies.
Maybe.
Just reading this is like such a headache. In 2 recent videos, Madonna raised eyebrows with her twerking in lingerie and lip-syncing lyrics about punching people in their, quote, mother effing face. In October, she also used TikTok to seemingly come out as gay before strangely confessing that she was not circumcised on Instagram. What is happening?
It feels like a controlled campaign to fatigue and like institutionalize us.
Yes.
Like this is aimed at me in particular. Madonna is gang stalking me.
I suppose it could just be like, look, we're at an age now where like maybe John Wayne would have done the same thing if he had a phone.
Yeah.
I'm wondering what Elvis's TikTok.
Yeah,
John Wayne busting it down.
I don't want to know what Elvis's TikTok would have looked
That
like.
would not-
that would
that would have been good.
Not bussin'.
fly. That's it's not good. So you know what? Let's now that I'll wash my eyes out later.
Yeah.
Let's move on to super chats.
Yes, some tonic. 1,000 Foot Deep End said, I was thinking Kai sounds like Michael Knowles, especially when he's talking based Christian stuff.
Let's go.
Do you think you sound like Michael Knowles?
I don't think so.
No.
I've never heard that before, but I'll take it. Knowles is a smart guy too.
I can kind of hear it a little bit, just a little bit. I didn't really
bit.
listen to much Michael Knowles. Yeah.
I don't either.
No.
Maybe I shouldn't admit that.
Oh, Knowles is good. He's probably my favorite from the Daily Wire,
Toy News.
even if he's Italian.
Oh, wait. Toy News Quarterly said, I finally watched, what is this?
Triple R.
Triple R.
Oh, yeah.
Last night, and it's the greatest movie of 2022. I had a blast watching it. 10 out of 10. Highly recommend.
That's the Hindi one, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
I have a hard time with movies without dub and sub.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't. I'm not a huge fan of just having subtitles.
Oh, really?
I struggle with that if it's the whole movie.
Yeah.
Like it's. I have to get around to watching that though. That one's gotten like universally good recommendations across the board.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Bradley Allen said, "Hey Kai, how is Doyle?"
Doyle's good. Just uploaded a video. Literally couldn't have timed it better. Everybody was giving him crap for not uploading for like 7 months, but he timed it so perfectly with the DeSantis Trump split. Like released it a week before everybody was flipping out about the split now, and the video is perfectly topical. It is required viewing for anybody who hasn't seen it yet.
All right.
Why are you asking me to shill his stuff though? Hold on.
Shill
Check
your
out my
stuff.
stuff too. Yeah, Kai Clips on
You've
on
got an
YouTube.
upload
Yeah,
coming
yeah.
up. Bobcat said, "Isn't that personal trainer the dude with ties to MK Ultra and the Canadian military?" Yes, it is.
See,
Small world.
Like, is it really just the overabundance of information that they no longer have to worry about this information coming out because they know that it'll just get labeled as a conspiracy, and then you'll just be like, whatever. Like, look at that. Pretty colors. I heard there's a new season of Paw Patrol coming out. My kids love Paw Patrol.
And Love is Blind.
And Love is Blind. Yeah. So it's just like nothing matters anymore. They just
No, look over there at Madonna.
They're like, hold up. Hey, can you call Madonna and have her go lick a water bowl for a dog so that we
This
can...
is an
Distraction,
emergency.
please.
Like
Come
that.
on.
I need you to get the Pasternak guy out of the news cycle. Madonna, go lick a water bowl.
Madonna gets a call in the middle of the night, like, damn it, I don't
It's
want to make
time.
another TikTok.
She's like,
Yeah.
she's got like a nightgown, like an old granny nightgown on.
Yep.
She's like, I gotta put on all the makeup and look like a skank again. Oh my god.
BMF Nate Dogg said, "This personal trainer is next level. Talk about above and beyond."
Yeah, no kidding.
Here, I'm going to literally get you surgical abs because I'm too lazy to actually train you to get your abs.
Well, hey.
I wonder if, like, after you get the double mastectomy, what's next? The fake pecs?
Well, he's got it with the testosterone. That's one way to increase gains is by getting somebody on steroids that way.
Exactly. Tino Villegas said, "Got here late. Tina Huerta in Narcos Mexico is fire."
I've heard that. I watched some reviews for that the other night. I did not watch Narcos Mexico, but maybe I will. I will check into it. But yeah, that was the only thing of his that I recognized was being in Narcos. He did also got the "and introducing" credit, which is the death knell to a lot of Hollywood careers. You don't want the "and introducing." They did the same thing to.
It's because he couldn't swim.
Yeah.
They were throwing shade at
They're
him.
like
swim.
you we had to hire a freaking swim coach
Yeah.
for you just for that.
This next one is a doozy.
Uh-oh.
I Heart Jesus said, "Can me, Brett, Potatoes, Surge, Tacti, and Waffles have sodomy anonymous meetings and get tokens for every month that we've been sodomy free?"
What was the user's name again?
I heard
Very
Jesus.
interesting.
Formerly what was he? Devil Daddy DiCaprio or something. Formerly Trad App, formerly Bad App.
Formerly many things that are not.
I see
that
what
are
you're
all
doing.
NSFW. Only if they offer the free coffee and donuts that they normally offer at the meetings.
The sodomy club.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the SA.
Yes.
I'm only going to SA if the coffee is fresh and the donuts are new. Yeah, maybe.
Bree Louise said, "Kai, the way you talk reminds me of Jimmy Stewart." There are a lot of
how
comparisons
many
happening in
We've
the
got
chat.
Jimmy Stewart, Michael Knowles, Andrew Heaton. Is
Yeah.
there anyone else?
That's a good question.
Like, if you sound
Let's keep
like
it going.
everyone, you don't sound like anyone.
Like next
Yeah.
time, like you sound like Mary, you sound like Brett, you sound like everyone but you.
Yeah. Interesting.
Chat, let us know. Is there anyone else that he sounds
Keep it
like?
going.
We
Keep
need
it
to
going.
know.
Send in more.
Shimmy Shelley said, "Abusing actors and treating them like property is not new. Shirley Temple, anyone?"
True.
What was the Shirley Temple controversy? I remembered something about that, and now I don't.
It's like predatory, like child actor stuff.
Yeah, I remember some like gross stories, but that's just like ordinary old Hollywood
Yeah,
stuff.
I've got this here. It says,
Yeah.
from the age of 3, endured horrific work conditions. MGM producer Arthur Freed exposed himself to Temple when she was 12.
Dude.
When Temple was 17, producer David Olzelnik tried to assault her. Temple constantly fought off predators. Temple forgave her father for robbing her blind. Yes, the actors...
and not to mention the drugs that
Yeah.
they force people to take.
That's awful.
That was when...
And the morality clauses of like not being allowed to get married, not being allowed to
Yeah.
get pregnant.
Keep
Things were crazy, and they still are.
Keep that to the stewardesses. That was actually the legal, or not legal, but the job qualifications for stewardesses on airplanes. Before stewardess was a word that got canceled.
yeah.
You can't even say it anymore.
Well, I mean...
it used to be you had to be under, what was it, under 25 or 35. You couldn't be above 5'9". You had to be under 135 pounds and pleasant looking before 1965.
Whether-
We need a return. Those
Makes
good
sense.
times.
Whether people want to admit it or not, a lot of people that work as secretaries are still hired on that basis because you're the first thing that somebody sees when they enter a building for a company.
That makes sense.
Yes.
But if it's something like you can't have like control over whether you can have children.
That used to be it too. You couldn't be
that
married or have
seems
kids.
sinister.
Yeah. I dated a girl who worked at a Hollister and said that the rule used to be there that the other employees you couldn't be hired unless all the employees agreed that they were somebody that they would have sex with.
Yeah, that's a real thing. And then
What?
that former
if you're
CEO got ousted, and now the
Man.
brand has been ruined and turned into this woke, fat positive monster.
Now
Used to be based.
Now
Everyone wanted to have sex with each other. Now
Well,
it's woke.
it was at least based in the manner that like they wanted hot people to wear their clothing.
Yeah,
right?
true,
Like,
true.
They wanted actual models.
Yeah, not just like a fat person.
Yeah, on Instagram.
Yep.
Now they're like, now it's somebody, if you wouldn't have sex with them, then we'll hire them now.
Yeah.
Mr. Meximelt Yohart said, I changed names like Elliot changes genders.
Oh, is that
I can see
right? All right.
Rega Tan said, any anime related media you enjoy recently, Kai?
I just started watching Chainsaw Man, which is really good.
I've heard.
Yeah, Chainsaw Man's been very good. I also got to watch Mob Psycho because I feel like I'll really enjoy that. Watch the first few episodes.
BMF Nate Dog said,
Are you gonna read that one?
no.
Sorry, that one's a little spicy.
Too vulgar,
Yeah,
too vulgar.
That's the one.
Boone Whip said, Kai. Oh no, that's mean.
No, it's fine.
Kai has a scrawny neck.
neck.
That's so mean.
It's like a running bit because.
And the next one is mean too.
Oh, I didn't catch that one. Oh no, that's not mean. Can I read that?
Why does everyone in this chat have like 5 different sock accounts for their different name changes? Like this is becoming too much. Okay, Waffle Sensei said Kai should join the Sassy Gay Boys. I don't even know who's in the Sassy Gay
I'll
Boys.
join
Technically, I
Sussy
think that's
Gay
me,
Boys.
Dane, and
It sounds
And me.
sussy.
yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's an old PCC thing that dates back farther back. I
Before
think.
my time,
Before your
maybe.
time. Yes, it's remember we're coming up on a year here now. Less than a
Wow.
month. Less than a month.
Wildberry Pop Tart said, "Oh no, I don't
Wait,
want to read
I
that
have
either."
I have a question. Is Blue Waffle Sensei bad app or is that?
That's
Waffle
gotta
Sensei-
be Waffle Sensei, right?
But it's got bad app's icon.
I think
so
it's badass.
it's bad app. Woo!
Thank
Yo,
you.
guys.
let's go.
Let's
Hopefully the lights don't malfunction this time.
go. Don't even think about it.
Don't even think
Don't-
about it,
don't-
lights.
Don't even think about it. Light. Like
Okay.
One more.
Bree Louise said, Knowles sounds like Stewart. I'm right. Fight me.
So so Michael Knowles sounds like Jimmy Stewart.
Okay.
Is that what they're saying?
This is getting difficult to follow.
I don't actually know who Jimmy Stewart is.
Yippee!
Woo!
No, nor do I.
Who does anybody know who
Let me
Jimmy
look this
Stewart
up.
is?
Jimmy Stewart.
He's not somebody that I've
Sounds
heard of.
familiar.
The name sounds familiar. I know
Yeah.
John Stewart.
Yeah, but hopefully he doesn't sound like that.
There's a James Stewart.
So, one more.
Rega Tan said, no Spy X Family. It's a politically adorable anime.
That's what I heard.
That is an amazing description of something. I would like to know what exactly makes something politically adorable. Like, what does that mean?
Apparently, it got people in Japan to actually want to have kids again.
Oh,
That's
holy
what
crap.
I heard.
Aw,
Yeah, which
that's
is
cute.
yeah, because it's like this family and they're spies, but they like the husband and wife have a kid now, and so it's almost like an Incredibles thing from what I have picked up, but I don't know too
The
well.
Americans,
Incredibles
Spy
was
Kids.
very pro-family. I think.
Yes. Yep.
I heard the sequel was bad.
I didn't watch it.
No, I didn't think it was bad.
I heard the sequel like nerfs Mr. Incredible.
Probably. They always do
Really?
that.
That's I only
Strong
saw
male
I
characters.
mean, it obviously was like starring Elastigirl more than Mr. Incredible. I'm sure that was intentional.
What's another example of like I'm trying to think of another Spy. I guess Spy Kids. Remember Spy Kids?
Yes.
Spy Kids. is a
Classic.
thing.
That was
Love Spy
fun.
Kids.
It's,
I remember the thumb people
Yes.
scared the shit out of me. Like I
Or
don't know
the
why.
floops. The floops were
Dude.
freaky with the backwards talking.
that was Alexa Panavega from.
That was some David Lynch
Yeah.
vibes for a kids movie.
They like reverse the audio. It's like, Floop is a madman. Help us, save us. It's
Yeah.
like, whoa.
Kids
What the-
entertainment used to be like darker and
Yep.
more gritty. I liked it.
See, I think there's too much dark and gritty now. We need to get back to fun and enjoyable.
Chipper and jovial.
Exactly.
Okay, go watch Paw Patrol then.
Maybe
Yeah.
No, I won't. Go watch go watch Coco Melon then. No, I'm not gonna do
I'm
that.
all right.
All right, guys. Thank you so much, Kai. Thank you so much.
Hey, of course. Thanks for having me, guys.
Anything you'd like to promote here?
Yeah. You can check me out on cozy.tv/Kai Clips or on YouTube, which is also Kai Clips, KAICLIPS. And then on Instagram at Kai Clips as well. Somebody took it with a C, so it's with a K. And you have to spell all of it out. K-A-I.
Have you messaged them trying to
did.
get it back?
And they gave it to me. And the way Instagram does it is you have to wait 2 weeks in case the person wants their username back.
Okay.
And I forgot about the 2 weeks. Went back maybe 3 weeks later. Somebody had already taken it.
Oh!
And the worst part is that new account, their brand is just Kai Clip. It's not Kai Clips. So I'm like,
it's
look,
a different
please.
person with the same.
Different person who took the same name.
Oh, my
I would have thought it was
gosh.
someone who just dislikes you and wants to impersonate you.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey. Oh, we got another super chat.
Oh, yep, Mary. Got one more.
Wildberry Pop Tart said, Wait, I don't get it.
I get it.
I get it. Yeah.
The,
This M. Janey person.
Who is M.
sim-
Janey?
Somebody
I
just
don't-
like simping like crazy in the chat.
That-
I'm convinced it's
I
one of
haven't
my
been looking
viewers,
at the
like,
normal
trolling.
chat. I'm only looking at the super chats.
I'm gold digger.
well, they apparently want Kai's Roberto Jr.
Ugh.
Sussy. Whoa.
we're actually
saving
gonna
myself
make-
for marriage.
We're gonna make Kai. I heard Kai likes KFC a lot, right?
Big time. Big fan.
We're gonna go right out to Chicken City and just make him his own KFC sandwich right after we're done here.
Chicken
Yeah, we
City.
can slaughter the chickens together.
Let's go.
There is literally a Chicken City here. So there's one more. There's one more. Two more.
BMF
Two more.
Nate Dog said, "Wait, I have a question. Well, you better
Well,
get your question in
Pause.
quickly."
Okay, then no, there's one more.
Okay, Waffle Sensei said that was bad app, not me. But with my impersonating, I probably deserved it.
See, I don't know if when the icon doesn't change, I just assume
This is
it's the same
psychological
person.
warfare.
But one time, Waffle Sensei changed his name to my name and took my picture from my Instagram
Yeah.
profile picture and made it the photo on there. So they are expert. They are expert impersonators here on Pop Culture Crisis. Those that watch. So
Now they're doing a hostage crisis.
that's when they hold on to us and we can't leave. Oh, there's one more. I don't know if you want to read that one.
Wait, what?
There's one more. Just came.
No, okay. It's one thing when we're disrespecting the guests, but their mom.
Moms,
That's-
don't bring my mom into this.
Exactly. Oh, that's perfect.
she's a
the
lovely
bill.
woman.
Look at the bill.
Oh, hey.
Oh, look at that.
Sometimes when we're like done, we have to like literally pull money out of the computer because it's like it literally gets stuck in the computer. Mary, let
Finally.
everyone know where they can find you.
If you want to find some pictures of me on Instagram, you can follow me there at Mary Archived. And if you want to read my inane thoughts on Twitter, you can also find me there at Mary Archived.
Perfect. Guys, I want to once again, I am going to ask you guys please to like the videos, leave comments on the videos, subscribe to the channel. I hate doing the whole bit, but it helps us.
Oh, and
immensely.
join the subreddit because we want to do a meme review soon.
Yes, we're still going to work out the kinks on how we're going to do that so that we don't get a bunch
Without
of
getting our channel banned.
Yes. We've got one more super chat from Bobcat.
Bobcat said, "Chat is wrong. Brett is prettier than Kai."
All right,
it's a-
we're all pretty here, okay?
It's
And then BMF Nate Dog repeated his comment, but with Brett's mom, and that is also disrespectful.
No good. No good.
if Brett's mom was still alive, I could ask her, but Brett's mom is not still alive, so he
May
can't
her
ask
immortal
her.
soul rest in peace.
I love you, Mom. Guys, like the videos, leave comments on the videos, subscribe to the channel. We love you so much for doing that. If you want to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram at Brett Dasovic. For the show, we are here Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is noon Pacific. Mary, there's one more. You want to interrupt my outro one more time?
No, I'm not even going
I
to read
knew
that.
you
I'm not
weren't
even
gonna
going
want
to
it.
justify it with a response.
What?
And it's not true.
Shame on you.
They're going to keep asking. But
However, there are people impersonating me using my pictures to like get subscriptions
gross.
to that website.
that is like I said, I would not want to be a woman in today's world. It's just gross. One more.
Sir Rank Zero Productions said, "Do you think God stays in heaven because he too lives in fear of what he's created here on Earth?" Spy Kids 2.
That is a good quote.
Deep.
That's a good quote.
Maybe true.
Real true. Yeah.
We get deep here. Pop Culture Crisis, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is noon Pacific. If you'd like to listen rather than watch, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify, wherever fine podcasts are sold. One more from BMF Nate Dogg says, Mary's mom, ? That is mean. We're leaving that alone.
No more questions about moms.
No more mom super chats, guys.
No more.
We are on social media, Twitter @PopCulture_show, Facebook and TikTok @PopCultureCrisis, and on Instagram @PopCultureCrisisPod. I think we made it through all of them. We will be back with another episode on Monday. We'll see you then, guys.
Bye.
Oh, see ya.